We are live on Mother's Day weekend, 1997. Unfortunately, it looks a whole lot like Mother's Day weekend of 96. On the track, a couple of Chevrolets showing the way, but unfortunately, the Chevy trucks are busily trying to dry the racing surface. Hi, everybody. Eli Gold. Welcome to TNN Motorsports coverage of the United States Cellular 200 for the NASCAR Busch Series and a 100-lap race also scheduled today for the NASCAR Busch North Tour. And Buddy Baker, again, we're here and it's raining.
I can't believe it, but I tell you what, it's beginning to slacken up just a little bit. The ducks are back in the pond. They're not flying around trying to find the racetrack. It looks better.
Some great storylines here this weekend with the NASCAR Winston Cup teams down at Talladega, Alabama for the rain-delayed Winston 500. A number of the NASCAR Busch North drivers will be filling in for the Winston Cup drivers in today's Busch race. Kind of convoluted, but it's a great career opportunity for a lot of the drivers who make their living up here in the northeastern quadrant of our country. Meanwhile, qualifying also washed out yesterday. That means both races start by virtue of the point standings. And that means that Norwalk, Connecticut's Randy LaJoie is on the Busch pole for today's 200. He's down in the garage area with Glenn Jarrett.
Yes, he is, Eli, where we have cave weather down here. It's cold and damp. Randy, you're a native New Englander. Can't you do something about this weather?
I tried it last year and it didn't work. Same thing we did last year here. And the only good thing is we come back and won the race.
It's got to be frustrating for everybody concerned waiting around. We know you guys want to race.
We do. As long as it stops raining, they're going to get the track dry, and we'll go this afternoon, maybe about 2:30.
Well, if they do, Randy LaJoie will start on the pole by virtue of his being the Winston Cup champion, or the Busch Grand National champion, and the current points leader. Now, let's take a look at some weather. Here's our meteorologist. Matt, take it away.
Well, Glenn, it's been a few years since I had my meteorology class at Florida State, but I'll give it a try. Looking at the NASCAR radar, you can see this whole line of showers has moved off to the east, right here, where the arrow is New Hampshire International Speedway. This line of showers, this is over New York State, a few hours away, so we have a little bit of a window here, so hopefully we can get this thing in. And as Buddy said, the ducks are back in the water.
But the bottom line through all of this is we are experiencing a bit of a New Jersey mist right now. It missed New Jersey, and it is still sprinkling just a bit here in New Hampshire. So with all of that said, why don't we better entertain you by letting you see some racing action and taking you back to this event a year ago. They called it on that day the Stanley 200, and we'll bring you an encore presentation. But, of course, we'll be right here standing by as soon as the track dries for today's live coverage. But right now, let's give you an encore look at last year's Stanley 200 for the NASCAR Busch Series. Teams are hopeful of getting today's races in, and certainly we'll be here to bring you all the coverage from New Hampshire International Speedway. I'm Eli Gold. Buddy Baker is with us. Glenn Jarrett and Matt Yoakum will let us all wait here until Mother Nature cooperates for the start of today's race for the NASCAR Busch Series and the Busch North Series. We mentioned when we first came on the air today at 1 o'clock that this is a great opportunity for some drivers to really show their stuff. With the Winston Cup stars in Talladega, Alabama today, it has vacated many Busch Series rides for substitutes to step in. One of those gentlemen is Curtis Markham. He's here with the Duralube team, set to fill in for Dick Trickle.
Yes, Eli, he is, and he'll go off in 5th position once we get this thing done. And Curtis Markham definitely wants to see him race today, because if they don't get the race in today and they race Talladega, he doesn't get to run tomorrow. Trickle will be here. You want to see this thing go.
Yeah, for myself, I'd like to see it clear up so we can get this race started today. You know, Dennis Shoemaker and all the guys on this Duralube Chevrolet, they've done a great job. The car felt real good yesterday, and can't wait to get started.
Well, you know, we found out why they picked him to drive this car, because he can wear Trickle's uniform. Look at this, a perfect fit. Man, give him a cigarette and a cup of coffee. He looks just like Dick Trickle, Eli.
He does just that. We're going to stay here as track drying continues, but right now more of last year's Stanley 200. On the way, we were starting to see a good bit of gray on the racetrack. Then all of a sudden, a very brief rain shower again moved across the speedway, and it's put us behind one more time. But again, everybody hopefully sitting around waiting, as we trust you are as well at home, to see today's NASCAR Busch Series and Busch North races here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. As for the weather situation, let's get it exactly for you from our own hippy-dippy weatherman, Matt Yoakum.
Oh, Eli, let's take a look at my own personal radar station here. I'm going to have one at my house by the time it's over with. Right here is Loudon, New Hampshire International Speedway. You can see No rain on top of us, but this is all upper level stuff, so you really can't see some of the stuff that's on top of us. But what could be a little bit of a worry is this little line of showers right to the west of us. It's slowly moving eastward, so we might get hit by that. Hopefully, it will continue to move a little bit to the northeast. The problem we've got is this whole system has moved off. Well, it's swirling back around and dumping some stuff on us, so that's kind of what we're fighting at the moment. So at this moment, we're kind of in a hold your breath, cross your fingers that maybe we can get this thing in.
Of course, the good news is, Matt, that once we get going, you're looking only about a 3.5-hour racing day. So lots of opportunities yet to go racing. But for you, here's another chance to relive last year's Stanley 200. We'll see you soon. It's a special presentation of TNN Motorsports. For Steve Park, the last month has been like living a dream. First, a win in Nashville, Tennessee. Then he challenged Mark Martin for the win at Talladega, taking second place. Today, Steve returns to his northeastern roots in Loudon, New Hampshire. Has 5 wins in his career at Loudon, and for him, there's just no place like home.
5 times a New England native has gone to victory lane here in Loudon, but with all the rain we've had this weekend, they've had limited track time. So, Steve, how important will those 25 starts you've got here in getting this car set up and keeping it up front today?
Well, Matt, I think with all the rain and everything else, it's going to give everybody that has a little bit of less experience on the racetrack, less time on the racetrack, and here at NHIS, it's important to have time and know your way around here. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of an advantage with experience driver-wise. But, you know, we just really want this weather to clear out and give us an opportunity to get this racing for all the fans here this weekend.
Well, the last time he was to victory lane, his first career victory came in this very car. They brought it here to Loudon and hope there's a little bit of magic left here on the Magic Mile today.
But home track advantage is not the sole domain of Steve Park. 13 of today's 42 starters are from the Northeast, and they combine for 17 NASCAR wins here in New Hampshire. Among the New Englanders here today is pole sitter and Busch Series point leader Randy LaJoie, the favorite son of Norwalk, Connecticut.
And Randy LaJoie just fired his race car up. I'll see if I can still get a word with him. Randy, you were 18th quickest yesterday in practice. How do you feel about this thing?
Yeah, we're in good shape. We didn't want to win practice. I won too many practices on the end of a hook. And we got 200 laps here to do it. I think we're in great shape.
Well, he won this race last year. Keep an eye on him. He always runs well here. Starting right behind him, Todd Bodine was 13th quickest yesterday. Perhaps the guy to really watch is Jeff Green, who will go off third in the number 8. He was second quickest yesterday.
Temperatures are in the 40s, but the rain has stopped. The track basically dry. We are live at the New Hampshire International Speedway, set to go racing on Mother's Day weekend 1997, the United States Cellular 200 and 100. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to New Hampshire. I'm Eli Gold, joined by Buddy Baker, and I think we finally got Mother Nature handled. But let's talk about what this race day means to so many young drivers. Andy Santerre filling in for Greg Sachs. He's at Talladega. You've got Brad Layton filling in for Terry Labonte, who's down at Talladega, Alabama. What a great career opportunity.
Well, it is. It's an opportunity to drive one of the best cars in the field for many of these guys. Several of them really stand a good chance. I think Andy Santerre has a great opportunity in the 45 for Greg Sachs this weekend.
Now, as far as the people who are involved here for the very first time, there's a long, long list of drivers who have never run a NASCAR Busch Series race here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. Certainly many have run Busch North races in the past, but as we take a look at all the names involved, you see that there is really going to be a brand new opportunity here today for some fellas to shine in front of the national TV cameras, subbing for other drivers who, for a myriad of reasons, weren't able to be here today. Now, Buddy Baker, what does that mean as far as experience is concerned? Yesterday, only 15 minutes of practice before the rains came. What about these guys stepping into new cars, basically?
Well, the nice part, they've had opportunities to test here and actually run these cars when the track was favorable. Yesterday, about 9 or 10 laps was all they really had, and it was damp then, so nobody really gained a lot out of the practice yesterday. For the guys that's never been here, it's going to be very tricky.
You've also got the added factor of, in the NASCAR Busch Series, you use radial tires. Those who are stepping up from the Busch North Series have basically run bias ply tires in their career, and that, trust me, is a major difference. When we come back, lots more coming your way. Pre-race activities continuing. We are live, finally, after much rain here in New Hampshire. Glad you're with us. We're back in a moment. Back, everybody, live at the New Hampshire International Speedway. Rain delayed is the United States Cellular 200 and 100 races today, but we are closing in on the start. Buddy Baker is with me. I'm Eli Gold. Let's talk about this racetrack. It is 1.058 miles around, just a tick over a mile, basically flat. And it is a cold day out there. Temperatures are in the 40s. What's that going to be like trying to grab a hold of a flat racetrack on a chilly day to start?
Well, Eli, one thing is pretty new pavement, so you'll get a lot of grip. That will help a whole bunch. The other thing that you'll see today is cornering, kind of like at Martinsville. You go in on the flat part of the racetrack, you kind of diamond the middle part of the corner and then rock it off on the bottom side. The racetrack is ideal, and it's a handling racetrack, not all horsepower.
And again, we do have two races for you here today. 200 laps for the NASCAR Busch Series to be followed immediately by 100 laps for the Busch North teams. They're talking about some rain in the area, but right now this racetrack is dry. Let's go down to Matt Yoakum for a final pre-race thought.
Well, one guy filling in this weekend is Brad Layton, filling in for Terry Labonte. You're way back here, Brad. What's the game plan to get to the front today?
Well, you know, we're going to do our best to get up front. We're hoping to get the whole 200 in, but, you know, I'm just trying to do a good job for Terry, filling in for him, and definitely not trying to fill his shoes, and just hope I do a nice job for the Bear people.
Well, you won last year here at Loudon in a Busch Grand National North race. Eli?
Meanwhile, also down on the pit lane, Glenn Jarrett is standing by with another gentleman who has a great opportunity to showcase himself today.
That's right, Eli. Andy Santerre is in the number 45 car filling in for Greg Saxon. Andy, your first time on the radials, they're a little different.
Yeah, they're a lot different than the bias ply that we're used to running up here in the north, and just hope I can put this 100 Specialty Chevrolet in victory lane today.
Well, best of luck to you. He knows his way around this racetrack. They had a brake problem yesterday in practice. They hope they've got that fixed. Andy Santerre, always a threat here at New Hampshire.
Very talented young race car driver. There you see this 1.058 mile layout. As you can guess, the rain has obviously held the crowd down today, which is unfortunate. But the folks who are here under heavy overcast skies are waiting to see a couple of pretty good races. It'll be the 12th race of 30 for the NASCAR Busch Series, while it'll be the third race of the year for the Busch North Tour after their season opening visit to Lee Speedway in New Hampshire and to the Jennerstown Speedway in Pennsylvania. Down on the pit lane right now, the field roaring to life, and it's going to be a few moments yet with the temperatures, as we say, in the 40s. They are going to give these teams plenty of time to get all the fluids up to their correct temperature, and then certainly 3 or 4 warm-up laps. The track is bone dry. Pit road is still a touch damp, and you see what they have done. They've covered all of the pit stalls, and they have taken the high-powered blowers to try and close whatever little moisture, just shut it right down, basically, and get themselves back to racing trim here in just a bit. So while we have a moment, let's take a look at today's starting lineup, brought to you by Splitfire. You can enter the performance zone with Splitfire Performance V spark plugs. Again, qualifying rained out. They start by points. The point leader is Randy LaJoy. Todd Bodine has completed all but 9 miles this year. Jeff Green, the winner at Las Vegas, and Phil Parsons. Curtis Markham subbing for Dick Trickle. Tim Fedowa, he was 30 years old yesterday. They're on row 3. Georgia's Buckshot Jones and the Nashville winner Steve Park. They are in row 4. his 122nd consecutive start for Hermie Sadler today. And Elton Sawyer, he was second here a couple of years ago. There's young Elliott Sadler. He was the pole sitter at Daytona during Speed Weeks. And Mike McLaughlin, he won a couple of races on the same day here back in 1990. Jason Keller and Kevin LePage, they share row number 7. Mark Green and Andy Santerre subbing for Greg Sachs. Row number 9, Busch Series regulars Mike Dillon and Stevie Reeves, while Dennis Setzer, a 2-time Busch Series winner, joins Dale Shaw. He takes over the number 4 car, vacated by Tim Steele. Tracy Leslie and local favorite Jeff Fuller, they're on row number 11. Johnny Chapman, he is second in Rookie of the Year point standings right now. He joins Glenn Allen, who had a good run going on this track a year ago until a late accident. Matt Kenseth, who took over earlier from Tim Bender, he joins Joe Bessie, who's only showing his second race on a brand new car that we'll be seeing here from him today. Shane Hall and Randy Porter, row number 14. Row number 15, Jason the Jet Jarrett, that's Dale's son, and Brad Layton subbing, as is his crew, for Terry Labonte. Jimmy Foster, he has Larry Pearson here as his coach this weekend, and Jeff McClure. Mike Olson and Joey McCarthy, they're in row number 17. A couple of late model stock car standouts making their first Busch Series starts. The brothers Gribb, Wayne Grubb and Kevin Grubb. Row number 19, some Busch North Series stars. Ted Christopher, who won here a year ago, and veteran Robbie Crouch. The Crows are in row number 20. That's Jeff Crow and Mark Crow. And row number 21, Tom Bowles, who is already a winner this year at Jennerstown in the Busch North Circuit. And Rob Wilson, a road racer, who's here to go Busch Series racing this afternoon. There you see Carl Simmons atop the flag stand, backed up by Johnny Norton as they get set to start today's United States Cellular 200. Now let's check out today's race analysis, brought to you by the more than 1,550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts, and they post all those numbers for you to take in. The purse, a big jump over a season ago, up to $365,000. And as you see, the 11th Busch Series race here since 1990. 10 previous races, 10 winners, Buddy Baker. It's been a very competitive racetrack.
It is a very competitive racetrack, Eli, and the one thing you always look for is the car that can hold that bottom line through the corners here. That seems to be the whole advantage that anybody can have here. If you see a car drifting up in the center part of the corner, he's not handling well enough to lead this race.
So as the field begins to roll, we're going to break away quickly to take care of some business, and then as soon as we come back, live coverage of the United States Cellular 200. TNN's live coverage of the United States Cellular 200 is brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By the more than 1,550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by Splitfire. Enter the performance zone with Splitfire Performance V spark plugs. We are 2 laps away from going racing here at the New Hampshire International Speedway, and we'll, of course, be giving you a full view of all the action here today. We've got cameras up high, cameras on board these race cars, so we'll be covering all the action for you on this first of 2 events today. This NASCAR Busch Series race will be followed by the Busch North Series and the United States Cellular 100. Well, a lot of guys who have won here in the past, and that is one of the big stories when you come here. 10 races, 10 faces in victory lane. This will be race number 11 for the NASCAR Busch Series. And the crew chiefs, Buddy, tell me the track is set up kind of like the flat track at Milwaukee, kind of like Nazareth, maybe even a little bit like Richmond. A lot of the teams have their Richmond International Raceway cars here today.
Well, what you can run here is a car that will run a flat racetrack, and that means it has a lot of bias weight towards the rear of the car. You try to get like a 50-50 weight percentage from front to rear on these cars because because of the flat racetrack, you want a lot of forward bite off the corner.
We mentioned a number of in-car cameras for you today. Let's take a quick spin around with first the Channel Lock team. Phil Parsons, as is the case each and every time the NASCAR Busch Series appears here on TNN. He'll be carrying a pack of cameras with us. Curtis Markham, who is filling in for Dick Trickle today. He has the camera on board the Duralube entry starting in 5th. Stevie Reeves in car number 96, the Big A Auto Parts entry. He'll have onboard cameras for us. Shelburne, Vermont's Kevin LePage, who won a match race the other day at the Thompson Speedway in Connecticut. And you see that note there, my #1 fan, Robert Campbell. He said, please say hello to Robert. He is a young man up in Barry, Vermont, who is very, very ill, and indeed is a #1 fan of Kevin LePage. He said, please make sure you say hello to Robert Campbell and tell him we're all thinking of him. So, Robert, you're riding along with us here today at New Hampshire International Speedway. And the final car with in-car coverage for you, Mike McLaughlin's number 34 entry. 5 top 10 finishes in the 10 starts here at New Hampshire. This is one of those guys we talked about earlier who just shows up and runs this racetrack well. Well, we're getting down to it, buddy.
Well, I tell you what, so much bad weather getting ready for this race, but right now the racetrack's in great shape. You have cool weather that's easy on the drivers, and competition ought to be great today.
But remember, yesterday, just a few minutes of practice before rain came again. It's basically a brand new situation for everyone here as Randy LaJoy, the point leader, and Todd Bodine bring him to the green flag. And we're underway here in Loudon, New Hampshire. Track, everybody cleanly through turns 1 and 2. Oh, trouble as Park gets together with Tim Fedewa. Trouble quickly in turns 3 and 4. Steve Park and Tim Fedewa bring out the caution on lap number 1. Todd Bodine is the race leader. Well, they got cleanly through 1 and 2, buddy.
Eli, that was absolutely not the racetrack's fault there. It was one case where Tim Fedewa did not see Park on the bottom side. He started coming down. They made contact. The racetrack had nothing to do with that.
So Tim Fedewa, who turned 30 yesterday and has had a great series of races this year, particularly of late, coming off that 5th place finish at Talladega just a couple weeks ago. And the Kleenex colors all beaten and battered. Buddy, let's take another look and see if we can pinpoint what happened there.
Okay, you can see him going in turn 3. Park's on the bottom there. He got up just a little bit when they did make contact, and you can see Tim Fedewa hit the outside wall very, very hard.
We'll take another look at it for you and see one more time. Again, the 3 is Park.
See him on the bottom. You could see him wiggle. He got a little bit loose getting in the corner there and got over into Fedewa.
And caution. Caution for the first time on lap number 1. We're live at New Hampshire International Speedway. We're back in a moment.
Brought to you by Gladiator and Universal Luxury Vans, the official vans of tracks, teams, and drivers throughout the NASCAR world. Call 1-800-445-2825 for a dealer near you.
We are back with you live here at the New Hampshire International Speedway as we are under caution. It came out on lap number 1. Tim Fedewa and Steve Park getting together in turns 3 and 4. We'll follow up on that story in a moment. First, though, to the leaders pit. Glenn Jarrett's down there in Todd Bodine's area.
Well, Eli, just to comment on Todd, that's a brand new Pontiac that he's running under the Stanley colors today. They built that car, took it to the wind tunnel in Michigan, made some changes on it when they got back. Evidently, they made the right changes. The car looks awfully good right now. Todd's spotter today is his cousin, Eric Bodine, who is a Busch Grand National North driver. So he's got a good set of extra eyes up there looking out for him. Stanley Pontiac looks good so far.
Let's take another look at exactly what happened and see further what transpired.
Eli, you see Steve Park get in there really tight in behind and just kind of lose the back a little bit. He chased it with the front and got into Tim Fedewa's left rear there and turned him right into the wall.
So caution for the first time. Tough break for Tim Fedewa, too. He had moved up to 6th in points after that 5th place finish at Talladega that we told you about a bit ago. And now all of a sudden on lap number 1, the day after his 30th birthday, he finds himself in the garage area. So the leader is Bodine. Randy LaJoie is 2nd. Jeff Green is 3rd. Phil Parsons 4th. And the Dick Trickle car, Curtis Markham, is driving here today with Trickle down in Talladega for the Winston 500. Curtis Markham is in 5th. Steve Park is now in 6th. And there you see Curtis Markham letting guys behind him know that we're about set to go back to green here at New Hampshire. Here comes the pace car now, pulling down the pit lane. Lap number 5 about to go up on the board. And Todd Bodine, who was led from the get-go 5 laps ago, takes the restart here at number 6. Good quick move there for the 38, Elton Sawyer. He and the Aiken Sutton team ran together here a couple of years ago, and he finished 2nd. That's Jeff Green for 2nd, blowing right by Randy LaJoie. And there goes Park again, 5th in line now to the inside of Phil Parsons. That's for 5th place. Curtis Markham inside of LaJoie. LaJoie uncharacteristically losing positions early.
Eli, I don't think he had a lot of time to set these cars up. It looks like he may be handling maybe a little tight right now. Maybe needs to make a chassis adjustment on first pit stop. The car is not getting off the corner like it should.
Riding with Phil Parsons, right behind Elton Sawyer. Back up front, Jeff Green has closed in on Todd Bodine for the lead. As per usual, you'll be seeing that crawl across the top of the screen all day long today, so you'll know exactly how your favorite drivers are running. There you see Markham in the 64, LaJoie in the 74, Elton Sawyer in the 38.
He made a nice move on Steve Park and moved right on by him. Elton Sawyer's car is really going well right now.
On the main straightaway with Phil Parsons, lap number 8. For the moment, nobody challenging the race leader. Meanwhile, Tim Fedewa in the garage area after that lap 1 accident. Matt Yoakum has chased him down. Matt?
Well, Brian Smith and the crew are hard at work on the Fedewa Chevy here. Tim, not a way you wanted to celebrate your 30th birthday. What happened?
I don't really know. I mean, first lap, just trying to get a feel of the car. I thought we got hit in the left rear. You know, it's hard for me to believe that it happened like that. But you know, this Kleenex Scott Brand Products team, the Base Motorsports team, will get her back together and get some points.
Well, they'll get her back out, get some points, but he won't be going for that 2nd career win today.
Meanwhile, 3rd place up for grabs now. Randy LaJoie in the 74 to the inside. He works on Curtis Markham, who's driving Dick Trickle's car. And look up front also as Jeff Green in the white machine challenges for the lead inside of Todd Bodine.
Well, you'll watch Jeff Green. He'll get good run off the corner there. Todd's holding him close there. As you can see, the back of the 8 car of Jeff Green get a little bit loose coming up out of the corner, and that just gives Todd Bodine a good run. But as they go down in the corner, the preferred line is right around the bottom of this racetrack.
Meanwhile, caution on the Speedway. Caution for problems in the corner. Here comes Kevin LePage riding the wall as Green takes the lead at lap number 11. There you see Kevin LePage, who tagged the wall coming through the corner. He brings out the 2nd caution of the afternoon. We're coming right back, and as soon as we return, we'll show you what happened to LePage to bring out the yellow. Jeff Green leads for Diamond Ridge Motorsports. We are back with you here at New Hampshire International Speedway under caution for the 2nd time. Kevin LePage, who is having himself a pretty good run here at the outset, just went wide, buddy. He went into the corner and just never did woe down, as they say, and the crew going to work on the hype machine. Take a look and see what happened to his Chevy. And see what we can pick up here. That's him outside of that pack of traffic.
Well, you can see Kevin there. He looks like he's not real sure. There's something wrong with the car. He moves out of the way and lets the competitors go by. He takes a wide line off the corner, and as you can see, no contact there. He just got away from the inside line.
It's almost like he had no brakes. Let's ride with him. Let's see if we can hear something.
He knows there's a problem. You can see him shift, and he gets out of the way of the competitors to keep them from getting in trouble.
Glenn, you're down there. What's the story?
Eli, the car owner, David Ridling, told me that he has brakes. However, they're locking up intermittently. So, in fact, the left front tire right now, they can't even they can barely turn the left front tire. The brakes are locked up so strongly on it. So it's a problem that they're going to have to spend some time fixing. They've got it diagnosed, but there is no quick fix for it.
Kevin LePage, who has raced here in New England for 15 years, had only raced here 3 times at New Hampshire International Speedway. And as we mentioned earlier in the telecast, he won a match race up at the Thompson Speedway in Connecticut just a few days ago. Hope you're enjoying the telecast, and we hope you're also checking it all out online at www.nascar.com. That's the NASCAR online address. Gives you scoring from here, all the racing action from Talladega. The trucks are out at the Monroe, Washington Evergreen Speedway. They've even got weather radar if you want to check in and see what the radar looks like around here in New England and see what we've been dealing with today. All of that now available on NASCAR online at www.nascar.com. Well, there's the Ridling team talking things over with the NASCAR officials. What happened is that as soon as LePage came down the pit lane, he technically was pitting too soon. You really cannot come down the pit road. It's not open until the pace car picks you up and carries you back around, and that's why he's being held for pitting too soon. Green flag in the air. Jeff Green shows the way back to turn 1.
Jeff Green's car has great forward bite off the corner. Watch him when he gets back in the throttle right here. This car is a real rocket ship up off the corner. But you know, Randy LaJoy sitting there in third, I said he looked like he was having a handling problem. As I say that, Elton Sawyer makes a move going into turn 3.
Elton trying him, but can't quite make the move. The other car you see on the screen, the 83, just ahead of the white car, the race leader. 83 is Wayne Grubb. He is a couple of laps down at this stage. He came in for a bit of work on the car on lap number 1 and lost a couple of laps. There he is, Wayne Grubb, making his first NASCAR Busch Series start here today.
Wow, he looks like he's pretty strong. He got by Jeff Green there, and he's holding his own, trying to get back there where he belongs in the lead lap. But you can see Randy LaJoy is not having any problems. That was just a man that's in front, and the point standings being cautious at the first part of the race.
15 laps on the board of 200. Again, the 83, not the leader, nor is he on the tail end of the lead lap. He's a couple of laps down. You just saw Kevin LePage coming off the pit road as the field goes by the hype machine. Phil Parsons in 7th. Meanwhile, Todd Bodine for the lead right there, gets inside of Green and brings LaJoy right with him. It happens that quickly.
And here comes Elton Sawyer on the inside trying to put Jeff Green another position back. Well, I tell you what, they are really going at it today.
Of course, they're also looking at the sky. They know that there is still rain in the area, and if this race only goes towards halfway, they want to be near the front. It's a quick race. Here's Curtis Markham now in the 64, inside of Jeff Green.
Well, you see Jeff there on that outside. You can see the car slip a little bit. That's not a good place to be as Steve Park moves up on the left rear quarter there, trying to take another spot away.
Just joining us, Park involved in an accident on lap number 1, moves inside of Green now, but may lose the spot right back. Up front, Jeff Green and Park, they battle. Hermie Sadler moves up now into the 7th spot as he goes inside of Phil Parsons. And you see MCI, the official telecommunications company of NASCAR, bringing you the timing and scoring here from New Hampshire this afternoon, live on TNN.
I'm watching Elton Sawyer in third spot right there. That car is really hooked up in the early stages of this race. I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't leading this thing in the next 10 laps because that car is getting tremendous forward bite.
Well, remember, too, that Elton Sawyer in his first go-around with Sutton Aikens Racing combined with them for a second-place finish in 1995. And actually, Matt, if he has a good payday today, Elton would go over $1 million in career earnings in the Busch Series.
Eli, if confidence can equate to dollars, he should be mighty rich by later today. This is the same setup that he used to that second place finish 2 years ago. They tried a couple radical variations. They said, you know what? The old tried and true felt the most comfortable, so they put it back under after practice last night. And Bob Sutton told me they are pretty confident about a good finish today.
Single file all the way back now to about 21st position as you look at Elton Sawyer continuing to champion towards the front. There is what is shaping up as a battle for the lead. Then Elton Sawyer in third, Curtis Markham in fourth, followed by the lap machine of Wayne Grubb. Then Jeff Green next in line, and problems for Kevin Grubb. Kevin Grubb, the brother of the number 83 driver Wayne Grubb, spins but no caution in his first NASCAR Busch Series race. We remain under green. 22 laps of 200 complete. It's a 211-mile race here in New Hampshire on a chilly, rainy afternoon. You're back just in time for a great battle for the lead here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Randy LaJoie has caught Todd Bodine. Todd took the lead most recently at lap 17 after leading the first 10 laps. We're now at lap number 27.
You see Todd Bodine there in the 36. You can see Randy gets off the corner quite a bit better. He gets a good run now as they start down to turn one. But watch getting in the corner here at Bodine, how nice that car gets in the corner.
Meanwhile, third place swapping around now. Steve Park and the Barbasol entry for Elton Sawyer. They swap third and fourth place around. Would you like to have the future of a Steve Park?
Wow, I tell you what, they call him the Comet up here, and I see why, because he's very, very quick, but he's also smart beyond the years that he's been behind the wheel. He is a very, very talented race car driver. Look for great things out of him.
And I don't know what was more impressive, the win at Nashville or the second place run at Talladega. There for the lead, Randy LaJoie sweeps to the inside of Todd Bodine, lap number 29. Well, he bided his time, did LaJoie. And once he got him off the straightaway, he's going to try and get gone.
That's got to feel good, you know, that Randy LaJoie was, his whole racing career was right around this area. And this is kind of a hometown track for him. He has to be very, very proud to come in not only as the points leader in Busch Grand National, but leading the race here in front of all the hometown people.
You know, the interesting thing, though, in his 4 races here, he has won 1 of them and then didn't even finish the other 3. You talk about feast and famine.
Talk about moving. Look at Jeff Green move in on the first 2 cars there. I mean, he is really on a mission at the moment.
Jeff Green, who led from laps 11 through 16. You see that dark area inside the corner? That's freshly paved. The newly paved corners here at New Hampshire. If you were with us on TNN when the NASCAR Winston Cup teams came to visit in the heat of last summer, you remember they were having some problems with pebbling in the corner. And the Bayer family, as you would expect, did what they had to and got things rectified. Meanwhile, back in 14th spot, good scramble there as McLaughlin goes to the inside of Dennis Setzer and brings Dale Shaw with him. Shaw is in the 4, McLaughlin in the 34. And if you've not been up to snuff on the news of late, the 4 car, of course, the season began with Jeff Purvis. Tim Steele then took over for a handful of races. Tim and the James Finch Racing team parted ways amicably last week. And at least for the time being up here in New Hampshire, Dale Shaw, veteran of the Busch North Series, gets the ride in that Phoenix Construction Monte Carlo. McLaughlin.
Wow, that's some driving there.
That was a save. That was a save.
Well, on these type of racetracks, you're going to have casual contact, and that was casual enough right there. That was about all he could stand.
Mike McLaughlin, the only driver to have started all 10 previous Busch Series races here at New Hampshire. Elliott Sadler in the Phillips 66 Chevy closing in from the rear flank. Again, you're watching 14th, 15th. Sadler is in 16th. They move around. Joey McCarthy in that blue number 41, one of the Busch North Series drivers in this 42 car field today.
See, Brad Layton, you can see how quick he is, Eli, from the center part of the corner of the straightaway. That means the car is really turning in the center part of the corner, and that's where you make your time.
McLaughlin and Dale Shaw, nose to tail, lap 35 on the board. All of this is behind the race leader, Randy LaJoie, who took the point at lap 29. Just joining us, only one retiree, Tim Fedewa, involved in a lap 1 accident. He's in the garage. We have had 2 cautions.
Well, I hope McLaughlin sees him down there. He does. Brad Layton makes the pass finally.
Meanwhile, as other battles continue on the racetrack, 14th, 15th position was the one we were watching. Now up front, Elton Sawyer, Hermie Sadler, Jason Keller. Hermie's had a good series of runs here over the years. The driver of the number 1 machine, Hermie Sadler. And as we mentioned, today is his 122nd consecutive start on the NASCAR Busch Series. At his 7th all-time, if you're curious. The leader, still the legendary Tommy Houston. He started 360 events in a row. Now Todd Bodine's getting itchy for the lead.
You know, it looks like one guy will go out and lead a little bit, and the car in second will kind of look him over, see where he's weak, where he's strong, and then he'll make a run at him. But Jeff Green, right at the moment, he's just waiting on those front 2 to do something wrong. He'll go right to the lead.
All 3 of those drivers have led already this afternoon, and that lap was led by Todd Bodine. So if you're keeping tabs at home, lap number 39 goes to Todd. A lot of folks from Stanley Tools on hand here this weekend. Their corporate headquarters only about 140 miles down the road from where we are in Loudon, New Hampshire. And they were bringing 5 busloads of employees to cheer Todd Bodine on here this afternoon. Unfortunately, the crowd being held down a good bit by the rain that we've had all day. But the folks who hung it out, they're with us here today. They've seen a pretty good race. 40 laps complete. There's a good scramble as Hermie Sadler works to the inside of Elton Sawyer. That's for 5th spot, and here comes Jason Keller in the 57. Give the Slim Jim team a boost right there. And Curtis Markham in the Duralube entry, subbing for Dick Trickle. He'll make the move inside of Elton Sawyer. And Elton can't get back in line. On the move now, and a good run is Andy Santerre. He'll make a move in and around Elton Sawyer as well. Glenn, what's the deal? Elton can't get back in line.
Well, you know, he came on real strong at first, Eli. Now the car has picked up a pretty good push. It's really cold down here. That's new pavement. All that adds up to tight race cars. The things that they did to the car that Buddy was talking about kept the car snug. It's too tight right now. They're going to try to loosen it up first time they come into pits.
And there is the man of whom we are speaking, Elton Sawyer. Now back in 9th. Jeff Green He's working himself near the front. Some pretty good scrambling all the way around, but it is Todd Bodine right now who shows the way. Starting on the outside of the front row, he is the leader in the early stages of the United States Cellular 200. CNN Motorsports live coverage of the United States Cellular 200 is being brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. Here at the New Hampshire International Speedway, Todd Bodine, Jeff Green, Randy LaJoie, Steve Park. They're about to put a lap on the 43 Lance Snacks machine. Oh, and everybody trying to save it off the corner.
Oh, I'm telling you, Randy LaJoie got so far sideways, Steve Park had to back way off. Now he makes a pass on LaJoie. LaJoie comes so close to wrecking, I can't even begin to tell you.
They were putting a lap on Dennis Setzer, and all of a sudden, everything broke loose for LaJoie and somehow saved. I'll tell you, between his save and McLaughlin's save earlier in the day, we've seen some super pieces of driving. Let's watch it again.
You can see LaJoie there. Look how far sideways he got that car with radial tires. You don't know what a save that is, folks.
You know, we talk so much about that, buddy. What is the feeling difference? I mean, to the fans, you know, to those of us who drive down the highway, the tire's a tire.
The bias-ply tire has a lot of give in the sidewalls. The radial tire is stiffer, and when it breaks loose, it does not get second bite 9 out of 10 times unless you do exactly what Randy LaJoie did. He drove that race car perfectly to get it back straight.
He did that. Lap number 50 on the board as Jeff Green, he's getting ready to try and make a challenge on Todd Bodine. Jeff led laps 11 through 16 already today. Todd has led 3 different times. "51 laps on the board." You're still catching your breath after that save.
I guarantee you I jumped completely out of my seat. I thought we had another caution because you normally don't ever catch one that far sideways.
Mike Olson in the 61 being bypassed there by the race leaders. Olson planning to do double duty here today with the NASCAR Busch North Series. Further back in the field, Mark Green in the 37. He's running in the 9th spot. You've got Phil Parsons, with whom we're riding. He's in 10th. And Buckshot Jones, he's working his little arms to a frazzle Matt Yoakum. We just watch him trying to saw on that steering wheel as he works the corners.
Ricky Pearson told him, "I hope you had your Wheaties this morning." Well, what happened? They think the power steering belt has broken on Buckshot's engine. What they're going to do, they're going to try to go to about lap 90. They cannot go till halfway on fuel. The most they can go is to lap 90. So he's just going to try to tough it out. Now, if they get a caution because of maybe rain or something else, and the caution's out, look for this team to come down and try to fix that problem on Buckshot.
And no doubt that was Matt Yoakum's Florida State University meteorological background. He felt a little mist beginning to fall, and NASCAR very, very cognizant of everybody's safety, and they immediately checked with all the inspectors. They even checked with some of the drivers, and they asked the lead drivers, is it okay out there? And the report started to come back that the mist is falling now a bit too heavily to continue safely, and NASCAR has put the caution out at lap number 54. Caution for the 3rd time today for rain, and that's always a telltale deal, buddy, when you ask the leaders how is it out there and they say it's a little damp. They don't normally want to stop.
Well, you have to understand that the racing tires that we use now have absolutely no groove at all on them. They're slicks, just very similar to a drag tire, and they get great adhesion as long as the surface is dry. But once it gets damp, I'm telling you, it's like roller skating on Vaseline. It's not very much fun.
You can see, yeah, I like that analogy. That's pretty good. You can see the heavy clouds in the area. And it is not what you'd call rain. It is just a mist, an annoying mist, which, if nothing else, in addition to dealing with the slick tires, you're also dealing with rooster tails that will kick up off the car in front of you onto your windshield, making visibility fairly difficult.
Makes you really, when you look on the windshield and you see those little particles of rain start really going back on the windshield, mentally it starts to aggravate you just a little bit.
Teams are staying on the racetrack, though. There you see Kevin LePage. Everybody's just waiting and hoping to keep enough heat in the racing surface so this little passing mist will dissipate basically as quickly as it starts. On pit road, some teams are coming in for service. Glenn Jarrett, why don't you pick it up?
Well, thanks, Eli. Elton Sawyer has come in. Their car, they were really struggling. As I said, he got really, really tight. They put fuel in it. They're going to put 4 tires on it. They're raising the rear track bar, and also they want to put spring rubber in the right rear of the thing to try to loosen the car up. He just simply cannot get it to turn. Mike McLaughlin came in the 34 Royal Oak Charcoal car. He got 4 tires and a minor adjustment, but they've spent a lot of time on Elton Sawyer here. And what they did, I believe they took a rubber out of the left rear. So really working on that car. It's tight.
And it's amazing the technical nature of this sport nowadays. When you were running as well as you did to earn a Hall of Fame spot, buddy, putting in and taking out spring rubbers was not a term we used on a broadcast.
Well, you got to understand, these cars have a lot of downforce now. They have everything in the world technically as far as shocks and all. They're so much better, and just the least little adjustment. But what Glenn said about them having a rubber in the left rear, they were anticipating a lot of changes today because they didn't have time to work on the cars yesterday. So they had a rubber in there to make that left rear stiff. When you jerk it out, that softens that spring up and lets the wheel get off the ground and takes some of the bite out of the left rear corner, which makes it not push as bad.
Other pit stops now. Elliott Sadler is in. Dennis Setzer with the hood up. Buckshot Jones is in. Jason Jarrett is in. Here comes Stevie Reeves, Tracy Leslie, all making pit stops under this little caution because of a passing rain shower. How about tire wear, Glenn? What are you hearing from the teams?
Well, what I'm seeing on Elton Sawyer's car is not good, Eli. Take a look at this. This is the right front tire. Buddy, you can identify with this. I know you've seen that before. That's how much heat, that's how bad the car was pushing. It builds up all that heat on the right front of the tire, just blistered this tire. So tire wear not too good down here. Otherwise, the guys that I've seen, it's okay, but big problem on Elton's car. Let's go to Matt.
Buckshot Jones is in. They put a quarter of a round of wedge in to tighten them up a little bit. 4 tires. They're not going to mess with the power steering belt. They don't think they have enough time. They're going to lose too much time because of all the other belts under the hood to get to the power steering belt. So he's just going to have to muscle that car around, at least for a little later on this afternoon.
Buddy, when you talk about a tire blistering, how much is tire, because Goodyear makes a good tire, how much is just chassis problems?
Eli, that was not push, that's plow. Yeah. When they do that, that means he's turning it all the way to the left and it's going right across the racetrack and skating that right front. It's a good thing Elton couldn't see that tire because that was very, very close to being a major problem.
Well, pit stops are continuing for some. Little light rain shower falling. There are some of Buddy Baker's fans on hand. We're coming right back. Highway transportation provided by Winnebago Industries, the official motorhome of TNN. Stop by your local Winnebago or Itasca dealer now and see the new models available. For more information on the Winnebago Motorsports team, please call 1-800-643-4892, extension 2. Commercial transportation for this telecast has been provided by Ryder, the official transportation company of Opryland. We are under caution for a passing rain shower, lap number 59. So time now for the AutoZone Tech Fact, brought to you by the more than 1,550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
Last fall at Homestead, the Ridley Motorsports team ended the year on a high note, winning their first career Busch Grand National victory. But in 1997, they've been struggling a little bit, trying to find a chassis gremlin that began at the beginning of the season. They traced the origin of it at Vegas to the rear end gear. It created a twitch in the car when they hit the center apex of the corner. Now what they found, they used a synthetic lubricant on the rear end gear. they broke it in like that? Well, it's 40 degrees cooler, so it didn't let the teeth set a pattern. That created the twitch in the corners. They borrowed a gear from someone else, no problem whatsoever. Now they run a standard lubricant to break in the rear end gear. Then once broken in, they switch back to their synthetic lubricant. As you can tell, they've been running back up front. They found the solution, and I think Mom was right when she said you should always read the writing on the box.
All right, Matt Yoakum with an interesting look at some of the technologies and what it takes to find out what's wrong sometimes in the NASCAR Busch Series garage area. Interesting stories of racers on these racetracks these days. A lot of guys get here from a lot of different ways. There's one fellow who's been on the pit road a good bit. He's from Brentford, England, in the Ocean Spray Polaroid Chevrolet. His name is Rob Wilson. Has IndyCar aspirations. He's been to Le Mans. He's done all sorts of road racing and endurance work. But do you remember, buddy, I don't know if you remember the group, the rock group Edison Lighthouse. I know you remember them.
For sure.
Remember the song Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes? I'll resist the temptation to sing a chorus. But nevertheless, when that driver was 16 years old, he was one of the lead singers in Edison Lighthouse. And he sang Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes. And nobody knows like me. And so on it goes. Let's check down on the pit lane. We talked about some problems developing for certain teams. We've seen pit stops for Buckshot Jones. What's the story, Matt?
Ricky, you brought Buckshot in 3 times. Any idea what the problem is?
No, something wrong with the steering. He said it's got a hard spot in it, and it's hard to turn. But we made some adjustments, and we put on 4 tires there, and he said it doesn't feel as bad as it did. So, we didn't do anything to it to make it any better, but just adjust on the car. So hopefully it'll be better before you can drive it.
Well, it's a brand new car, and Buddy Baker, sometimes when you bring out a brand new car, you don't have a whole lot of track time. You get a little bit of teething pains sometimes.
Well, maybe he's adjusting to the car, and it's not as big a problem as he goes along. He'll get a little stronger and forget about it. For years and years, we run these race cars without power steering, so if it's not a lot of drag on it, I'm sure he'll adjust to it.
I guess it was Jeff Bodine at Martinsville, if memory serves, who was the first driver to show up in NASCAR Winston Cup competition with power steering. He's the man who actually brought it from the north to the south, as it turned out. And then, of course, it's become something of a regular happening. Quick update on Dennis Setzer. There you see him. He is down a cylinder in the Ridling Motorsports team. The Lance Snacks group checked under the hood. They say he is down a cylinder. The field is going to be getting the 1-to-go signal this time by, so we're about to go back to work. What about Elton Sawyer, Glenn? He's been in for a couple of stops here lately. And apparently Glenn's still checking on the Elton Sawyer story, and we'll update that for you here in just a moment or so. Field getting the 1-to-go signal. Let's go back down to Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, thanks, Eli. They've done a lot of work. They raised the track bar. They took 2 rounds of wedge out. As I said, they put a spring rubber in the right rear. They also came back and took 3 pounds of air out of the right front. Last time they were in, they had the car jacked up, checking things as they were letting the air out of the right front. Car owner Bob Sutton told Elton, said, man, be careful when we let the jack down. We've made that thing so loose it should spin out sitting on pit road.
I like that.
That's a good one. 62 laps on the board. We're about set to go back to Green. Resetting it for you behind Todd Bodine, the race leader. You've got Jeff Green second. Steve Park is third. Randy LaJoie fourth. Jason Keller is fifth. Hermie Sadler will restart in sixth. Curtis Markham will go seventh. Andy Santerre in Greg Sachs's car will restart in eighth. You've got Mark Green in ninth. Phil Parsons 10th. Dale Shaw will start in 11th ahead of Mike Dillon 12th. Joe Bessie 13th. Matt Kenseth in 14th. And Northern driver Ted Christopher, still on the track, has made no stops. He will restart in 15th.
If you want to know who's a lap down, look on the right side. Todd Bodine just pulled over there, but those are lap cars in the right side there.
Jimmy Foster had tried to get a lap back, couldn't do it. Something Something's not right on Hermie Sadler's machine. Hermie Sadler, and problems in turn number 2 as Matt Kenseth got together. Oh, and a hard hit on Mike Dillon as he was sitting broadside there in the middle of the track. Buckshot Jones in the 00 came along, and we are under caution. Again, a lot of things happened. Hermie Sadler never came up to speed, and then a lot of cars spinning. Mike Dillon, you see, pulling away. Buckshot Jones remains in the corner, and we are under caution again. Lap number 64 here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. Todd Bodine, the leader. Under caution, attention now being riveted to Buckshot Jones as he was involved with Mike Dillon and Matt Kenseth, among others, in a spin off the number 2 corner. You see Buckshot moving around in the car. Let's take a look, buddy, see what happens.
Okay, you see Dillon down there already sideways. Kenseth in the 17 gets sideways.
But look at just ahead of him. Did you see Dale Shaw made contact with Phil Parsons?
Oh,
man, look at that lick. Dale Shaw made some contact with Phil Parsons just ahead of those guys, and maybe some checked up and others didn't.
Well, you could see Buckshot coming through there full steam. He thought he had a hole there and got right into Dillon. That was a hard lick.
Glenn Jarrett's down there watching the work, and the Detroit Gasket Bunch has a lot of work to do there, Glenn. You can see the offset on the rear of the automobile.
Oh, absolutely, Eli. It's shoved the rear end over. He took a direct hit into the left rear wheel. Of course, the tire was flat when he came in. They had a lot of trouble getting the car jacked up, but now they have it. But I can see the spring bucket is all twisted sideways, and they can hardly get the tire on the rear or up on the wheel. It's bent it so badly that they can't get the thing to snug up. Mike's crawling out of the car. I'm going to try to get a word with him if I can. Mike, glad to see you get out of that thing. Glad to see you're okay. What happened out there?
I really don't know. The track was just too slick to get going again, I guess. But, you know, we're trying to get the race in, so I don't know. We got sideways. Everybody was spinning down there, and I got sideways and got together with somebody, and then when I tried to get out of it, spun out in the grass and got hit. So it's one of them deals.
Well, that's what they always say. Just one of those deals that's just racing, but that car took a hard hit, guys.
Meanwhile, Hermie Sadler, we showed you, never did come up to speed before. He has been pushed into the pit road area, and the crew is going to work on the DeWalt Tools Chevrolet, and we'll get an update from the pit lane shortly on exactly what the problems are, but they're looking in the drivetrain area. Hermie was running in 6th just prior to his problems on the restart. Welcome back, everybody, as we work the 4th caution flag of the afternoon. A multi-car accident coming off the corner. Let's take another look and see. Buddy, you pointed out one thing, but watch just ahead. Watch the number 4 there. See if he gets into Phil Parsons, and then everybody checks up.
You see Dale Shaw there in the 4. Phil gets a little bit sideways.
Right there.
Right there. You can see Dale Shaw, and just behind him, everybody tried to check up. See Joe Bessie there in the 6. He also got into the outside wall.
And now ride with Phil Parsons. Just watch how he deals with this. There's the hit right there. So that's what happened. Shaw made little contact with Phil, and then when the other guys tried to check up, they didn't all do it at the same time. Then you see Hermie Sadler behind the wall. We had talked before, it could have been a rear end problem, a drive shaft problem, and the crew is going to work on the DeWalt Chevrolet. Buckshot Jones has gone to the garage area. Matt Kenseth's crew pushing his car behind the wall. Same with Mike Dillon. Let's go to Glenn. He's down there watching the Hermie Sadler crew.
Well, actually, Eli, I'm watching Hermie Sadler, looking at things on the scoring update here from NASCAR. Here's Hermie, and no, this is not where you wanted to be. You had a great run going, Hermie. Good race car. What happened?
We had an awesome car, man. We broke something in the rear end, broke a gear, axle or something in the rear end, and gonna put us out for today. It's extremely disappointing. We started turning the corner, been running real good, and just need to get a good, finish today. We had a top 5 car, and, hope to get to work on it and have a chance to go for the win. But you know how it is. We just had this kind of luck and can't shake it.
Well, he certainly has. This young man has had terrible racing luck, actually, for the last year and a half. He needs a break. Got an awful good race car today.
Interestingly, though, Glenn, he has only failed to complete 15 laps this season, but a couple of breaks here and there, and he could have had a whole passel full of victories, but not to be today for the DeWalt Chevrolet team. 69 laps on the board, still well shy of halfway. We work the fourth caution with Todd Bodine, the leader. TNN Motorsports live coverage of the United States Cellular 200 is brought to you by the more than 1,550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by the Home Depot, where low prices are just the beginning. Let's remind you that promotional consideration for this afternoon's telecast here in New Hampshire is provided by the official trailer of NASCAR, Featherlight Trailers. For more information, call the numbers you see, 800-800-1230 or 319-547-6000. Featherlight, the official trailer of NASCAR. Well, there, friends, is a great story. Greg Sachs not here in Talladega for the Winston 500. The Hunter Specialties team needed a driver. Mike Laughlin owns the car. Andy Santerre from the Busch North Series uses Laughlin chassis. It was a natural marriage, and do you know they're in 7th place right now, buddy?
Oh, I talked to Laughlin yesterday, and he said Andy Santerre had done some tests for him, and he was real pleased as the driver for him, and he said the substitution was absolutely perfect.
Glenn, it really is a great story when you see a guy get a chance and take an opportunity and run with it.
Oh, absolutely, and I think this young man has a great future in racing. He wants to come south to move to the NASCAR Busch Series. I think we'll see him there next year in something. I just talked to the guys on the crew down here. They're ecstatic right now with the way that things are going. They say that Andy likes the way the car feels. The brake problem from yesterday's practice is all behind him now. Said the only problem he's having, he's still just having a little bit of trouble getting used to those radial tires, getting into the corner. He said it's a different feel for him, but hey, if it's a bad feel for him right now, he's in 7th. Wait till he gets a handle on this thing.
You got that right. We're 72 laps complete of 200. We are live here in New Hampshire. If you're just joining us, delayed a number of hours by rain, so glad you're able to tune in. We're back in a moment. We are set to go back to green here at lap number 75 at the New Hampshire International Speedway. The wrap up the fourth caution. They had to put a good bit of speedy dry down on the racetrack in turn 2. That's why they've taken a few extra laps to help dissipate all that buildup. Race leader is Todd Bodine, the number 36 Stanley Tools entry, with Jeff Green right behind him. Green is in the air. Back to work. Lap 75 of 200. The first of 2 races today. We've got the Busch North Series to follow, and my goodness.
Steve Park almost got collected there by a lap car. I'm telling you, he was in a bad spot. You can see the oil drop blowing up there, Eli.
Right, that's what that big cloud was.
Oh, Jeff Green falling back were really bad there.
He was the meat in the sandwich right there. He let both Jimmy Foster and Mark Crow go by in the 80 and the 11. Now the 83 Wayne Grubb also laps down. All 3 of those machines are not on the lead lap.
See Steve Park going on the inside of Green. I think Green got a little bit loose in turn 2 and the speedy dry and just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything wrong with the car. Now you see him fighting back on the outside there.
Our friends from Napa bringing you the scoring rundown across the top of the screen. At Napa, we keep America running, and they'll keep that rundown running for you throughout the course of all our TNN telecasts. 77 laps on the board.
57 you see there, that's Jason Keller. He had a bad wreck in Charlotte this past week on Monday and was really very sore starting into this race today.
Matt, what do you know about that incident?
Well, he did tell me he was a little bit sore, but he was pretty confident about today. If you remember back about 4 or 5 races ago at Richmond, it looked like he was going to get back into victory lane to score his second career victory, but that little accident coming out of turn 4 at Richmond nixed that plans. But guess what? This is the same car that he dominated Richmond with that day, and the same basic setup. They made a little bit of chassis building adjustments to it. They changed the bar under the hood because his crew chief, Kenneth Campbell, used to work with Mike Laughlin for about 12 years. Well, they showed Mike the change they made. Mike went back, did the same adjustment to his car, changing a certain bar, and that's the car that both Andy Santerre and Jason Keller are running today, and they was pretty confident about that car.
And Keller eventually finished 5th that day at Richmond in that car number 57, and if you remember, it was a day or a weekend where qualifying was rained out like it was here this weekend. The race was run on a wet, cold day, as this one is, so maybe that means something. And here we go, 3 wide. Keller parked the 3 and Green in the 8. Jimmy Foster just ahead of them in the number 11 Speed Vision entry. That is 3rd, 4th, and 5th place, and Foster tags the wall.
I tell you what, coming out of these corners, you go right out against the wall. If the car slips at all, you're right into it.
Foster making his first start here at New Hampshire International Speedway.
Boy, Jason Keller is really coming up. You see him getting under Steve Park, going down into turn 1. Steve Park very, very smartly backed out.
He was very wise there. Said it's still early, only 81 laps of 200. No need to force the issue. So give Keller the position now. He'll move up to the 2nd spot. Todd Bodine continues as the race leader. Jeff Green in the 8 running 3rd. Steve Park is 4th in car 3. Randy LaJoy in the 74. Curtis Markham in that red and yellow 64. Again, subbing for Dick Trickle, and that's with whom we are riding now. Curtis Markham in 6th.
Steve Park is caught in an awful bad spot there on the outside, just behind Foster. You can see he can't get to the inside. Randy LaJoy is going to come by, and probably a host of other cars. That outside lane is not the quick way around here.
Off turn number 4. Can't squeeze between LaJoy and Foster. And this is for 3rd, 4th, 5th position on back. And now here comes Santerre. You see LaJoy. There's Santerre, the 45. They'll get Park caught up behind the Foster car. And hey, there's number 4. That's Dale Shaw, another Busch North Series driver. He's up to 8th now in the James Finch entry. Taking over earlier this week, at least for this weekend only, replacing Tim Steele, who has gone back to run the ARCA circuit for his family operation.
You can see that Steve Park finally got back on the inside of the racetrack. I know he's very pleased with that because he lost about 6 or 7 positions there.
There goes Shaw in the middle of that pack. That red number 4 goes around Jimmy Foster and closes in on Steve Park. There's the battle we talked about.
Boy, Shaw is strong. Look at him come out of the corner there. He's actually a little bit quicker, it looks, than the 3-car Park down the straightaway.
That's for 7th place. Steve Park from Long Island. Dale Shaw from Center Conway, New Hampshire. We're at lap 86, 14 shy of halfway. 2 hours delayed by rain. We're glad to be able to see the green flag finally. And don't forget the Busch North Series scheduled in a 100-lapper a bit later on. There are Keller and Green now battling for 2nd spot.
Boy, I tell you, Keller's really on a mission. He's moved right on by Green and running 2nd place now. The car looks very, very stable in the corner also.
Of course, don't count out about Jeff Green. He has led today in that number 8 machine, and he has led 7, now 8 of the 12 races that have been run this year. So he is certainly going to be a factor as this day continues. You know, one of the most interesting stories of this week, I think, is the fact that Todd Bodine, who is our race leader, along with his crew chief Clyde McLeod and their chassis specialist John Fabian, went to Michigan last week, took their car, the Pontiac, up to General Motors at the wind tunnel. And I don't know what they found, Glenn, but if they've put it to use here today, it's obviously a trip that paid off for them.
Oh, absolutely. Let's ask Clyde McLeod, the crew chief. Right now, he's got one eye on the racetrack, one eye on the scoreboard. Clyde, you guys made some changes on this car after a wind tunnel test. What did you find?
I found some little things, Glenn, that I think helped it. Appreciate Pontiac's support and trying to help us out with that. The car's not too bad. The racetrack, sometimes you're loose, sometimes you're tight. Just waiting to get to the fuel stop here and decide what to do.
Wait, how long can you go to fuel?
Yeah, we can go to about 110 now.
You just want to see lap 100 mainly, though, don't you?
Well, I think we're safe with the rain. I just checked the radar. That was just a little cell that was around here. So I think we can run the race normally from here, but I did want to do it on one stop, which I plan on doing.
Well, you can see strategy works all the time during the race. Clyde standing back here so he can get a better viewpoint of what the car's doing down the backstretch. They're really sweating this thing about fuel, guys. They don't know how far. They didn't get a chance to test the cars to run any fuel tests.
Clyde McLeod, one of the best in the business. We're at lap number 90, 10 shy of halfway, and 20 miles away from when he would like to stop. Steve Bird and Billy Nasowitz looking on from the Randy LaJoie pit. We welcome you back to New Hampshire. The race leader is the Stanley Tools Pontiac. That is Todd Bodine. Took the lead at lap 39. He is now in 93 laps complete. Meanwhile, further back, we'll take you to 5th, 6th, and 7th spot, where you've got Curtis Markham in the 64, Andy Santerre in the 45, Steve Park in the 3. That's the spread from where we were with the leaders. Back to Santerre now. He'll challenge Curtis Markham. This is for 5th.
You see, Markham hung up on the outside there. Steve Park in the 3 makes a move on the inside. He should be able to get right on by. The outside has been much slower today.
Now Steve Park goes by. There comes Dale Shaw in the 4. You'll just see him work against the Duralube entry. There they go by. The 13 is Ted Christopher. He is in 9th, another of the NASCAR Busch North Series standouts, who is running this 200 for the Busch Series. If you're wondering about Brad Layton, there he is in Terry Labonte's car, and he is now in the top 10. Brad Layton, the defending Rookie of the Year in the Busch North Series, and the man who's already won a race on the Busch North Series this year. There he is in the Alka-Seltzer Bear entry, and he's in the top 10.
Eli, I tell you, local talent right now is looking very, very strong in this race. Santerre, all of them are moving right up into the top 10, and they'll be a factor before this race is over.
If you're a Tim Fedewa fan, he is back on the racetrack as you watch Brad Layton head back off into the corner. Tim Fedewa, who was in an accident on lap number 1, is back now 95 laps down, but he's on the Speedway nevertheless. Now you move from Layton back to Mike McLaughlin there in the number 34, and Shane Hall in number 85. They are battling for 11th and 12th position. Tom Bowles in number 76, that white machine, another of the Busch North Series drivers. He too is on the lead lap in that position. He's running in 13th. There is Tom Bowles. It's nice to see these guys take advantage of an opportunity and run as well as they have.
Well, they just really understand the racetrack, and they're real good chassis guys because they are great on short track, and when they come here, they work on the chassis more than they do on the motor.
Meanwhile, Jason Keller is closing in just a bit on the leader. That yellow car left of your screen, that's Todd Bodine, and the guy about 6 car lengths back, that is Jason Keller in the Slim Jim entry, running in the 2nd spot. 3rd is that white machine, Jeff Green. So there's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd here at lap number 98, now 99 Bodine as the leader goes across the stripe. So we are 1 lap away from the Gatorade Front Runner Award lap. $2,000 being handed out to the first car across the stripe at halfway, participating in the Gatorade Front Runner program.
I think I'll take Todd Bodine on this lap. He's running very, very well. You can see he has about a 10-15 car length lead over Jason Keller as they come down the front straightaway.
He'll move around Mike Olson in the number 61, and he will take the halfway mark. Lap number 100 and the $2,000 from Gatorade. Now the Stanley mid-race report. There's how the numbers stack up here this afternoon. Leaders, Todd Bodine, Jeff Green, Randy LaJoie. Those are the 3 drivers who have led here today. Average speed down just a tick because of the 4 cautions here this afternoon, and fairly lengthy ones at that. One for an extensive cleanup and one because of a rain shower. Just joining us, I'm Eli Gold. Buddy Baker alongside up here in the booth. Glenn Jarrett and Matt Yoakum are down on the pit lane into the garage. We are live a bit later than expected because of a 2-hour rain delay here. Just halfway in the NASCAR Busch Series event, the 12th of 30 races this year, and yet to come, the Busch North Series in the United States Cellular 100. You'll be seeing that as well here on TNN.
You know, I'm watching Jason Keller. He said he was very, very sore Tuesday from a wreck that he had in Charlotte while he was testing, getting ready for the race there this next weekend. And boy, I tell you what, he plays pretty well hurt.
He does that. That's second and third place you see right there behind the race leader. And there you see the separation. On the clock, it is 0.8 of a second. Roughly 8 car lengths the advantage for Todd Bodine. Welcome back to New Hampshire. Pit stops beginning. Lap 107. Glenn Jarrett's got the story on Jason Keller.
Well, Jason Keller, Eli, the first of the leaders to make his pit stop. He had told us that they were going to come in around lap 113, but they're about 5 laps early from that. 4 tires, fuel, and a very, very minor adjustment. The car was running awfully well. He's down and away. We should see the rest of them coming in.
There's the
Jeff
Diamond.
Green is in. They're on the right side of his car. They also like the way that the car was handling. They weren't going to make any chassis adjustments at all on the car, just 4 tires and fuel.
So the Diamond Ridge crew going to work there on that number 8 machine. Meanwhile, slowing on the backstretch is Ted Christopher. Tough break. He was running in the 8th spot as you see Todd Bodine coming in. Right behind him, Randy LaJoie is coming in. Glenn?
Yes, Eli, Todd has brought the Stanley Pontiac in now. As Clyde said, just around lap 110, it's actually 109. So they were pretty much right on schedule. I'm a little out of breath trying to chase all these guys down. And now let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Randy LaJoie comes to a stop in his pit. Steve Burton crew won a work. There'll be 4 tires. He's been complaining that his car has been a little bit loose, and we have caution on the Speedway.
Right now, everybody waiting and watching. There seems to be no caution flag waving at all as Santerre and Shaw all come down the pit lane. LaJoie is in. Here comes Shane Hall for service. Ted Christopher, who ran out of fuel, did make it around. We remain under green. There is Christopher. He was running in the 8th spot when apparently he ran out of fuel.
You can see him shooting ether in the backside of the air cleaner. They're trying to get it to crank. He run out of fuel. Now they're trying to make it fire with the ether there.
Tough break. Now he's going to have to really work to get around the Grubb machine right there. As Kevin Grubb had just come in, and will the car catch?
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
That's valuable time. He's sitting there trying to refire it now.
That's a heartbreaker.
There he goes. He finally caught up.
That's going to cost him a good bit of time. Tough break for Ted Christopher. Pit stops now, lap 111 for other teams. You see the 82 there in the foreground being pushed behind the wall. Kevin Grubb, here comes the Dick Trickle car with Curtis Markham at the wheel here today. Again, if you're just joining us, Trickle was down at Talladega for the Winston 500. Steve Park has been in for service. All of this at lap 112 now. There's the Shoemaker crew going to work. Getting that rear tire done. Now back to the left side of the Duraloop Chevrolet. Racing fuel in the Duralube machine, and away he goes. Andy Santerre coming down pit lane now in the Hunter Specialties entry. He is going to be coming to the attention of the crew. Others peeling off for service. This now at lap 114, and it cycles around now to Mike McLaughlin as the current race leader. There he is, car number 34. Now, here's why you heard Matt Yoakum say there might have been caution before. Watch what happened to Stevie Reeves. Oh. Little spin bump with Joe Bessie right there. But the yellow never did fly, and we remained under green. And there's the race leader, Mike McLaughlin, going back off into the number 1 corner. He is the leader, as we mentioned. Elton Sawyer right behind him is in second. As we are in the midst of green flag pit stops, Tom Bowles at the moment is being shown in third. You've got Elliott Sadler in fourth. Jeff Fuller in the Sunoco entry is now fifth. Phil Parsons is sixth. Those teams not on the same pit stop sequence. TNN Motorsports live coverage of the United States Cellular 200 is being brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. And by Peerless Faucet, the do-it-for-yourself faucet. Welcome back, everybody. We are live at the New Hampshire International Speedway. There are the front two, Mike McLaughlin and Elton Sawyer. They now lead after a series of pit stops. We're at lap 120, and we are live. If you're just joining us, we'll mention again that we are a couple of hours behind schedule due to rain. And we do want to offer a big hello to those of you just joining us after watching the Winston 500 this afternoon. Mark Martin on a roll. He wins at Talladega today in a caution-free race. Dale Earnhardt came home in second. Bobby Labonte third. John Andretti was fourth, the pole sitter. And Jeff Gordon came home in fifth. And I'll tell you, he goes all those races, 42 races without winning. Martin wins the Save Mart 300 last week at Sonoma. Wins the Winston 500 today. If he gets on one of those rolls like we've seen him in the NASCAR Busch Series, he's going to be tough the rest of the way.
Eli, he certainly is. And Mark Martin, it was just a matter of time. With Jack Roush as the car owner, you know he's got the talent and everything, and Mark Martin's one of the better drivers on the course, and he has won at Talladega before, so they seem to be back on track again.
So welcome to those of you just joining us now, and back to our event here where Mike McLaughlin is the race leader. Elton Sawyer is second, but Glenn Jarrett, I guess the big story at this point now is that a lot of these fellas are on their own pit sequence. Nobody seems to be on the same page right now.
That's true, Eli. We're looking at the scoring monitor here in Todd Bodine's pit. You can see McLaughlin, Sawyer, Tom Bowles, Elliott Sadler, Jeff Fuller, Phil Parsons. They're in the lap by themselves, but they pitted way early. They will have to stop one more time. If this thing goes green the rest of the way, that one lap cushion that they got over the rest of the field right now will go away. Right now they look in great shape. If they can catch a caution, then they'll keep those other guys a lap down. But remember, Dennis Setzer, Jeff Green, Todd Bodine, Jason Keller, all those guys that pitted now, they can go the rest of the way. So if it goes green the rest of the way, those guys in the top six right now are going to find themselves at a big disadvantage because they got to stop.
That's true. Again, the top six are the only six teams on the lead lap right now. McLaughlin, the 34, Elton Sawyer, the 38, Tom Bowles in the number 76, he is third, Elliott Sadler in the 29 is fourth, Jeff Fuller in 47 is fifth, and then Phil Parsons in the number 10, he is sixth. But they are all on their own different pits sequencing. And you can see there the folks from MCI giving you the rundown across the top of the screen. MCI, the official telecommunications company of NASCAR, and you'll see exactly where everybody is. But pit stops will certainly be a story as we work down towards the conclusion with 76 miles, 76 laps to go. If you're just joining us, Hermie Sadler in the garage with rear end problems on his machine. Matt Kenseth was in an accident, so too Buckshot Jones and Mike Dillon. Tim Fedewa is 95 laps down after a lap number 1 accident. He has since returned. We have been slowed 4 times by caution. The race leaders, Todd Bodine led the first 10 laps, Jeff Green the next 6, then Todd Bodine led the next 9, Randy LaJoie led from laps 29 through 38, and Todd Bodine led most recently until Mike McLaughlin took over the top spot, and then we began sequencing through pit stops.
Mike, as we see Ted Christopher in the 13 there, he's trying to make up one of the laps that he lost, and he ran out of fuel a while ago. He's really desperate, trying to claw back into contention here.
Ted Christopher, a NASCAR Busch North Series contender, and he's a good race car driver. He won here a year ago. He's led many races, Christopher has, there in the number 13. He's led many races on this racetrack. And this year, it'll be a limited schedule of Busch North competition. He obviously will run here. He'll run at the Thompson Speedway in Connecticut, Stafford Motor Speedway. He'll go to the road courses, but a limited schedule in car number 13 for Ted Christopher. But you got a feel for him after being in 8th and then losing that lead draft. Let's take you a little further back now. There you see Jeff Fuller. Oh, caution on the speedway. Problem in turn number 2. There's the Wayne Grubb machine. Caught the wall in the number 2 corner and brings out the caution for the 5th time. Lap number 129, Wayne Grubb. And as you see, his very first career Busch Series race. But you know something, Glenn? When those Grubb fellas get on the late model stock car circuit around Virginia and the Carolinas, nobody can beat them.
They have been completely unbeatable this year. One of them's got like 7 or 8 wins already. They're unbelievable up there. And give them a little time, give them a little experience here, and then they can do some good things in the NASCAR Busch Series. This caution flag came at a very inopportune time. Of course, some of these guys were on the tail end of the lead lap, so we're going to see how it shakes out. But boy, this can really change the complexion of this race, because this will give those guys I was talking about a while ago a chance to come in and get fuel under caution.
It will here at lap number 130. We were down to just 6 teams on the lead lap because of the way pit stops had been sequencing. On top of everything else, Jason the Jet Jarrett, making his first run here at New Hampshire, has no radio communication. He's in 18th spot. And John Irvin in the crew. John, by the way, just named to the Mechanics Hall of Fame in the same weekend, buddy, that you were inducted into the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. They're asking for NASCAR to black flag Jason Jarrett to come in because they can't talk to him, nor vice versa. Here comes Mike McLaughlin, the race leader. Lap 131, pit stops. Let's go to Glenn.
Well, we're watching Mike McLaughlin and Elton Sawyer, the first 2 cars on the lead lap, come in, still making chassis adjustments on Sawyer's car. McLaughlin just said he wanted a little more split in the difference in the air pressure. Other than that, not to make too many adjustments, and they are not making any adjustments. Obviously, 4 tires of fuel for all those cars right now. So, and McLaughlin is down and away. Good pit stop. He's out. Jeff Fuller beats him out in the number 47.
Mike McLaughlin.
Yeah, they're having a little problem on Elton Sawyer's car now. He's down and away. Phil Parsons beats him out. Then comes Elton Sawyer. So looks like that's the top 4 of that crowd.
And Elliott Sadler's crew still working on the Phillips 66 entry on the pit lane. A lengthy pit stop for car number 29. So that's how things are shaping up there. He's now down off the jack and away. So all of the teams that had been up on that lead pack have now made their pit stops. Tom Bowles was in, and we'll recycle the running order for you as soon as we come back to the New Hampshire International Speedway. Lap 131 of 200 on the board, and we are live on TNN Motorsports. It was a late start, but we haven't lacked for action. Steve Park and Tim Fedewa together on lap number 1 for a caution. Then later in the day, lap number 64, a handful of teams spinning off turn number 2. Everyone, for the most part, manages to continue on. We are at lap 133 of 200. Stevie Reeves right now in car number 96 being shown as the race leader. And there you see NASCAR Thunder, the official store of NASCAR. Have you had a chance to check them out yet? Certainly hope so. You know the locations. They've been in Atlanta at the Gwinnett Place Mall for quite a while. The Haynes Mall in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The Westtown Mall in Knoxville. And the Vista Ridge Mall in Dallas, Texas. But you see on the bottom of the screen, it's now 2 weeks old, the newest location in Cincinnati, Ohio. So for those of you in the Queen City on the Ohio River, swing on by NASCAR Thunder, the official store of NASCAR. And if you're looking for a great place to go as a family, remember Opryland USA, the official destination of NASCAR. If you'd like more information, just call that number you see on the screen, 615-889-6611. Phone lines available to you Monday through Friday, and they'll be glad to give you all the information you need. And if you're wondering, yes, we will all be together at the TNN Food Lion Salute to Motorsports. It is returning to Opryland June 25th through June the 29th. And again, for more information, just call the number you see on the screen, because the folks at TNN and Food Lion have gotten together to bring your favorite stars, not just from NASCAR, but from the sprint cars and from NHRA competition. It'll all be at the TNN Food Lion Salute to Motorsports. We continue under caution, the 5th of the day. It gives us a chance to bring you a look at what Peerless Faucets has to show you, the do-it-yourself faucets with this innovation in racing.
Bob and Gary Bayer and the entire staff here at New Hampshire International Speedway are constantly looking for ways to make things better for the competitors. One of the ways they've done that is to open and maintain a complete welding and metalworking facility right here on the grounds of the Speedway in the garage area. In conjunction with Lincoln Electric and one of their local distributors, they've got pretty much everything that a team could need in metalworking. Jason Keys works with Lincoln Electric. Jason, you maintain this facility. Looks like if a guy needs to do some metalwork, you got the stuff right here.
Yeah, we can handle a wide array of materials from mild steel to stainless to aluminum with TIG welding and MIG welding, and it typically works out real well for the teams.
When a guy or a team brings something in here to have done, do they bring it for you to do, or do they say, hey, get me started, man, I want to do this myself?
Usually they want to do the welding themselves. I get them set up with the equipment and make them comfortable with the equipment here and make it easy for them to use.
This facility is completely unique in NASCAR. It's a great facility. The competitors love it, but most of the times they really don't want to have to use this place.
Well put right there, Glenn. We're at lap 135. Pit stops have now cycled around in total. When we left you, we talked of Stevie Reeves. Now everything's back in order, and it is Jeff Fuller who now is being shown as the race leader. Mike McLaughlin is second. Phil Parsons is third. You've got the Elton Sawyer machine fourth. There you see Elliott Sadler, Tom Bowles, and on down through your top 10, which includes Dale Shaw. So everything is now cycled back around through the green and caution flag pit stops.
Eli, as you can see, Jeff Fuller is way back in the pack right now. That's the 47 you see there. The car's just in front of him. Pretty much got to stay in the lead lap.
They're on the tail end.
To stand on it, yeah.
They're on the tail end of the lead lap. It's not often you see the race leader, basically, as Buddy says, in the middle of the field. But there he is, just ahead of McLaughlin, with whom we're riding. Mike is second. They are about, I'm just taking a quick look, and there you see Fuller. They're roughly 10 rows back. Fuller and McLaughlin are roughly 20th and 21st in line in this 2x2 restart. The teams are directly ahead of them. All of those cars are on the tail end of the lead lap.
That's it, Eli. And when they go, they have to really get after it. They do not want to go a lap down with this competitive field they have today.
Here comes the safety car, and we are going back to green. Again, the first man across the stripe will be Jeff Green. He is being posted in 7th spot, tail end of the lead lap. those machines right there. Todd Bodine is 8th, Keller is 9th, Shaw is 10th, LaJoy is 11th, Setzer is 12th, Steve Parkin, the number 3, he's 13th, Curtis Markham is 14th. There again, you saw Todd Bodine working towards the front. Meanwhile, Fuller in the 47, right there in the middle of your screen, he is the race leader. He's got Kevin LePage to his outside there, the 88. Jimmy Foster next in line, the 11. They are not battling for position right there. McLaughlin in the 34 is second place. They're riding with Kevin LePage. He's in 31st. 5 laps down. And again, there's the leader, Fuller. And you're riding with second place man Mike McLaughlin. How tough is that on a race car driver, buddy? I mean, everybody's used to running in traffic, but all of a sudden you're leading and you're 20th in line.
Well, what he has to do right now, he does have a considerable amount of track position on the cars that are trying to move back up in contention. So like Jeff Green and those guys up near the front up there, they're battling just to try to stay in the lead lap while Jeff Fuller can sit there and kind of abide and move up as he can. And right now he's in the catbird seat. But that's the difference. When you stop a little bit early and a guy takes a chance, Jeff Fuller waited a while and really got an advantage by waiting later to pit.
Now Jeff has won here on the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tours. One car is in the wall in turn number 2. That's Elliott Sadler. He brings out the caution. Caution on the Speedway for the 6th time. Lap 140. And let's see who can get back on the lead lap and come all the way around. Here comes a host of machines down to the line, all ahead of Fuller. And a lot of guys are going to be able to stay on the lead lap.
You can see Elliott Sadler's car there will not move, so they're going to have to go out with the hook and get him. The car will not pull its own way out of there.
And there's a spring. Is that a spring right there?
It looks like a spring rolling down the racetrack there. There's another car, a red car sitting there with
sandwiched up against the wall as well. So all of a sudden you got Jason Keller, who was running among the leaders all day in 10th spot. He gets collected up in the Elliott Sadler problems there as well. So Elliott Sadler and Jason Keller. And after Jason's accident at Charlotte earlier in the week in testing, didn't need to get bones rattled again. Now all the teams on the racetrack are getting their rightful positions. Those who are on the tail end of the lead lap are coming back around, and the pace car in just a moment will be picking up the race leader, Jeff Fuller. There he is, the number 47. Looks kind of strange seeing half the field go on around, but hey, everybody was getting in their right positions.
Well, that's a tremendous advantage for some of the guys that did stop under green a while ago. It brings them right back into contention, but terrible luck for Elliott Sadler.
There's Elliott. Very personable Virginian. We'll take a look at the tail end of the incident there. He's already in the wall. Let's see how Keller plays into this.
Whoa, that's where the spring and all probably flies out of the car as he turns around there.
Still no Keller. We'll keep that. Well, we didn't keep the video going, but we'll try and take another look and see how Jason got into the whole mix. You see Keller moving around in the car, so clearly he's okay. Tough break. He was running in 10th and having a great run today. We're at lap 142, 58 laps from conclusion. We still have a NASCAR Busch North Series race to come live here on TNN. Hermie Sadler with rear end problems today, and now brother Elliott will be also on the attrition list. Of course, Hermie is back on the racetrack, but many laps down and no factor to win here today. Hermie is some 51 laps in arrears to the race leader after the rear end problems. Mike Dillon is on the pit lane. Randy LaJoy is in. Matt?
Randy LaJoy comes to a stop. He's been complaining that the car is a little loose loose getting in, tight in the middle, and then loose getting off. They're going to go 3 rounds down on the panhard bar to try to fix that problem. They're coming around to the left side of the car. Other than that, they think that they should be a contender by the time this thing is over with, because he won this race last year, and he says the car is pretty good if they could just get him fixed up a little bit going in.
He started on the pole by virtue of being the NASCAR Busch Series point leader. Randy LaJoie still in the hunt at lap 143. Welcome back, everybody, as Todd Bodine is riding around in 7th position. He has led for much of the day, but that left rear doesn't look quite showroom condition.
Eli's got problems there on the left rear. He got hit there, but the right side's got some damage also. So Todd's been in a war that we didn't see.
Todd Bodine led 3 times here today. We'll take a look as he comes around, and we'll take a gander at the right side of the Stanley Pontiac and see how extensive that damage looks. Jeff Fuller is the leader. Mike McLaughlin still running in 2nd. Phil Parsons is 3rd. Let's see. Yeah, it's been caved in a bit there, buddy.
The nice part about it, it does not seem to be rubbing on any of the tires, so that's cosmetic, as they say.
Glenn, did you see that happen?
I didn't see it happen, Eli, but I saw the damage, and I asked Clyde, and you're exactly right, buddy. It's cosmetic. Clyde says it should not be a factor, shouldn't hurt anything.
Let's take a look again at the incident on lap 141. Elliott Sadler's already spun. We were still looking for Jason Keller, and don't know quite whether he spins himself or he had help, but much belatedly, here comes the Slim Jim machine just sliding into view. And a good bit of speedy dry, as you can see, so it'll be a few moments before we go back to green. 55 laps from the finish. Jeff Fuller, a one-time winner on the Busch Series, looking for win number 2 today. You are tuned to live coverage of the United States Cellular 200 NASCAR Busch Series race number 12 of 30 here in 1997. We are running a couple of hours behind schedule because of rain earlier in the day, and we still have the Busch North Series race yet to come, a 100-lap affair for the Busch North stars. But I'll tell you, the Busch North guys have been starring here today already. We talked so much about Brad Layton, about Andy Santerre, Dale Shaw running in the 13th spot. How about old Tom Bowles? We have talked some of Tom, but we haven't really bragged on him a whole ton, but we better get with it. He's running in 5th spot.
Yeah, that's a great run for him.
There's Bowles right there. Finished 3rd here in a Busch North race a year ago. He finished 3rd at Nazareth Speedway in Pennsylvania. Been around a while, Tom Bowles. Modified star, NASCAR Busch North Series star. Back for a full schedule in 97 again on the Busch North. He'll be doing double duty here today, and there's been a very steady progression. Again, qualifying was rained out, so you see how he got in by virtue of the postmarks of the entry blanks. Another of the Northern guys leading, Jeff Fuller. There's number 2 man, Mike McLaughlin. The Royal Oak entry is in number 2, and of course he's had a super run here, 5 top 10s and 10 starts. And there you see the numbers. Really got off to a tough start this year. Did not have a superb beginning to 1997, but Magic Shoes has got it in gear right now.
Teammates for Bodine, and Bodine started off very strong with a 2nd in Daytona, and McLaughlin was leading the race down there and had problems. So all in all, those team cars are really running very well this year.
Yeah, he was only 33rd at Daytona. Then he went, 27th at Richmond on the short track. Had a 17th, a 24th. Just looking it up here now. He finished 33rd at Darlington. And then all of a sudden, the season turned around. He went to a 10th place finish at Hickory, then a 5th, then a 2nd, then a 13th. Here he is running 2nd again. How do teams just click like that all of a sudden, buddy, after an abysmal start?
Well, you know, you have to have luck in racing also, and he had a motor problem which the driver can't really do anything about. So he's had the equipment. The race cars are great, and he is a teammate with Todd Bodine, who's second in the points. So you just think about it. The team is there, and certainly Magic Shoes McLaughlin can win anytime.
And following up to what we talked about when we first signed on the air today, Steve Park still very much in the hunt. You see, as we pull back to where we'll find him in the 8th spot overall there in the AC Delco Chevrolet. Steve Park having a solid run at the problem at lap number 1 when he and Tim Fedua got together. But this rookie season has just been outstanding for him. There you see the first 8 races. And then look how it's picked up. He's gone from an average finish of 22nd in the first 8 races to an average finish of 3rd, and has not failed to finish a lap either in this last handful.
I was looking at that smoke here. Ought to be a little fire in there too. That boy has really turned it up here in the latter part, and you know, he does everything right. He's very personable. He's a great driver, and Dale Earnhardt has to be proud of his progress.
If you're curious why we're continuing under many laps of caution, there you see an extensive amount of speedy dry. It looked as though the entire oil sump might have ruptured on Elliott Sadler's machine and put down all sorts of fluid in the corner. So they've really had to do an extensive cleanup, and they want to make sure the teams can run through it a bit before we go back to green. Jeff Fuller is the race leader. We are 51 laps from the finish, and he's got his sights set on win number 2. Welcome back, everybody, as we continue here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. Cleanup in turn number 2 about wrapped up now from the Elliott Sadler, Jason Keller problems, and the teams have gone through that extensive amount of speedy dry to try and get it spread around as best they can. There's a good look at this straightaway. Crowd held way down today because of the heavy rains that didn't stop until about 2:30 or so this afternoon, I would guess. And the temperatures have been steadily dropping. I asked somebody up here, and these folks, great racing fans, and they're out here, they're bundled up like they were going to a University of New Hampshire football game. And I said, when does spring get here? They said around July 4th or so. I mean, it's been an unusually cold snap here as you see those folks bundled up, but enjoying NASCAR Busch Series and Busch North racing here at New Hampshire International Speedway. 152 laps on the board of our total 200. Haven't talked much about Jeff Green here of late. He's running, though, in a strong 6th position. And, you know, Glenn, he's already led 8 of the 12 races this year. So he's in the hunt for another win today.
Well, I think so, Eli. And if, you know, if the brakes hadn't gone against him there, getting that lap down like that and getting shuffled back in the field, he would definitely be a contender. His crew chief, Wes Ward, just told me, though, that they have a little problem. And we have seen this looking back on the restarts. Jeff's car just won't get up to full speed until they've been on about 4 or 5 laps under green. They run the air pressure in the tires down a little bit here to help turn the car. So Wes said he pumped the tires back up just a little bit, trying to get him off to a little bit quicker start. Their main concern right now, though, is with that spring that Buddy saw come out from underneath the car of his teammate Elliott Sadler. Jeff ran over that spring when he went by, and he said it clunked and clanged and made a lot of racket. They hope it didn't do a whole lot of damage. They're kind of waiting to see it right now, hoping that didn't cause any problems.
You can kind of see it there, can't you, Buddy?
Right on the left side of the valence there, on the very front of that Monte Carlo, you can see where the spring went under there. Just a little bit of damage that should not be that major problem that they're worried about, unless it got up under some of the running gear as it went under.
That car is called Gorilla, by the way. Same car he won with here on TNN at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And you talk about solid race cars. 4 starts for that car. He's got a win, 2 second places, and 4 top 10s. That car has won a pole. It's also sat on the outside of the front row. So Gorilla, or just plain old Gorilla, he's doing a heck of a job there for Jeff Green. What about Steve Park, Matt? What you hearing down on the pit road?
Well, Eli, Tony Uri told me that they would like to pit because Steve says the car is pretty tight coming off the corner. They are almost as fast as the leader, but because they're so tight, he can't get a run off the corner and get up underneath anyone, and they cannot give away track position. So he's going to ride it out right to the end. But right now he's in 8th position. They're hoping he can move up a little bit more because with the Buckshot Jones problem and Tim Fedewa's accident, he can move up in the points pretty good.
And he's got 3 straight top 10 finishes here in a row now. He was 6th at Bristol, the win at Nashville, and his 2nd place finish behind Mark Martin at Talladega. So it's been a good stretch of races, as we showed you on that graphic a little while ago, for Steve Park, who already has a huge lead on Johnny Chapman and Jimmy Foster in the Ray Bestis Rookie of the Year standings. It's not at all wrapped up, but it's certainly a 300-plus point lead right now for Steve Park.
I think he'll win many more races before the year's over. We hadn't had a rookie in this division that shows the promise that Park has in quite a while. I just think that he's going to win more races this year. He knows the race car mainly because of the modified division they come out of. You know, have to really adjust on those cars, and modified drivers really make good Winston Cup drivers later on.
How good do you think Steve Park is compared to the great young drivers of today, or the greats of the last few years?
I must tell you, and everybody kind of says Jeff Gordon is the best new talent that's come along in a long time. I think it's the first year in Busch Grand National that Steve Park may be just a little bit ahead of where Jeff Gordon was the first year that he come in this division.
Well, that's mouthful right there, no doubt. For those of you who are tuning in expecting to see inside NASCAR in this time slot, we apologize, but because of the rain delays here, the length of this race and the Busch North race yet to follow, inside NASCAR will not be seen this evening. Glenn Jarrett, what do you think about Steve Park and where he fits in among the young standouts?
I got to go along with Buddy. I think he is definitely a young talent. I talked with Tony Uri about Steve yesterday about the turnaround that they made from all the crashing, the problems they had earlier on. He said that he thought that Steve Park was as good a prospect that had come along in any time, including Jeff Gordon. So a lot of people thinking that way, and I kind of agree with him, Buddy.
Tough to argue against it. We're going green. Jeff Fuller is the leader. Mike McLaughlin is 2nd. Phil Parsons 3rd. Elton Sawyer 4th. Tom Bowles is 5th. Jeff Green will restart in 6th. Todd Bodine 7th. Steve Park 8th. Dennis Setzer and Curtis Markham. That's how they're running here on the restart. Lap 156 of 200.
Well, I hope Jeff Fuller has a great race because he may join us for the 2nd race that we have here today. And would he make some commentator if he won this race? I know he'd be very, very proud.
I know what his secret is, Fuller, who is leading. He ate 10 lobsters last night.
Nobody can eat 10. Whoa, problems getting into 3.
Yep, Andy Santerre there in the 45. No caution, though. We remain under green. Battle for 2nd right behind Fuller is a good one. Phil Parsons in the 10, literally pushing Mike McLaughlin down the main straightaway in the 34. Now they get separated just a bit. The 80 car that you see running among the leaders right there, Mark Crow, he is a lap down. He's showing in 14th spot, the 80 is.
Look at this scramble back here between these cars that are trying to get back into contention. You see Jeff Green there on the outside in the 8. Park there in the 3. All these guys are really tiptoeing around on the outside because of the oil dry on the outside of the racetrack in turn 2. They have to be very, very careful.
That's 6th place on back, the cars that Buddy was talking about. Layton is on pit road. You'll just see his car sitting as we flash by. He's driving for Terry Labonte today. Layton's crew going to work on the Alka-Seltzer machine, losing laps here at number 159. Meanwhile, there you see Jeff Green in number 5 position. And there's Phil Parsons. He's in the 3rd spot.
Driving a very, very conservative but fast race right now. Phil's doing everything it takes to really run well here today.
Elton Sawyer in the 38 is right behind Phil Parsons on the leaderboard in 4th. Jeff Fuller, though, as we see some teams skating through the corner, Fuller continues to lead, but he's just running by his lonesome for the time being, a second ahead of McLaughlin. That's why we stay with this battle.
You see all these cars, they're going in the corners right now. A lot of them are going very, very low into the corner, actually below the yellow line. But the nice part of this racetrack is actually the apron is pretty good getting in. I mean, it's not the type that would really upset the car too much. You see Jason Jarrett there running very, very high coming off turn 2. He don't need to do that very often because there's a lot of oil dry out there.
And you see that black stripe on the low side of the track, the newly paved area. The Bayer family went to the country of Trinidad and Tobago to get special ingredients to put together this asphalt. We'll talk more about that, but it really has held up magnificently today after the problems we saw here during the summer heat of 1996. Shane Hall, the 85, he's running in the 11th spot, having a good solid run. If you remember Talladega a couple of weeks ago, Hall was the lapped car who was drafting with Steve Park, trying to help Park bypass Mark Martin.
Yeah, we were talking with Shane Hall, and we said you had to learn a lot following those 2 cars the last few laps in Talladega. He said, I certainly learned how to win from first place.
He did that. And yeah, Mark gave a pretty good lesson, but that's how you learn.
Well, Mark did a great job, and Mark is really on a roll right now. I mean, he had a sweep. He won the Busch National race at Talladega and then backed it up with the 500.
You saw Dennis Setzer there. Looked like he might have gotten a little nudge from Dale Shaw. And Shaw will move into the 11th around Setzer, who drops back now into 13th because Curtis Markham goes by as well in car number 64. Hey, Dale Shaw's not been bashful today. Ted Christopher in the 13. He is running a couple of laps down in 21st after he ran out of fuel earlier on the track. Remember, he was running 8th at the time and then ran out of gas. He's now in 21st, couple of laps down. Now the good scramble for 6th and 7th. Steve Park and Todd Bodine. Jeff Fuller, the race leader. But we'll just keep you with this as Fuller has himself a fairly decent lead right now, about a second. We'll go to second place, though, and show you right there. McLaughlin in 34, Phil Parsons in the 10. They're battling one another, and there's Fuller just ahead of them.
Eli, they're pulling in on Fuller just a little bit. They've closed down to about a 5-car length lead, but Phil Parsons run McLaughlin down, I mean, about 15 car lengths in only 3 laps.
And don't count out Elton Sawyer. He's right behind these two. If we pull back a bit there, you see the Barbasol car coming into the picture.
Started out the race, Elton Sawyer did, with a lot of push in the front end, but I see Shane Hall's off the pace there on the front straightaway, but you can see Phil Parsons now taking over second place going into turn 3.
So Phil Parsons grabs that second spot. McLaughlin is third, and Elton Sawyer now in the 4th spot. Well, that's a tough break for old Shane Hall. He was running in 10th spot, just pulled the Lux car off the racetrack towards the infield road course portion of the Speedway to get out of harm's way. But what a tough break. He was in 10th spot. We just bragged on him, and then he has a problem here coming off the corner.
Look at Phil Parsons. He's pulling right up on Fuller. He's only about 3 car lengths. Now make it 2 as they head into turn 3.
Closing in to within a car length now. Fuller has led since lap 132. We're at 169 now.
You were talking about Elton Sawyer. He blistered a tire. For the people that didn't see the first part of this broadcast, blistered the tire badly, but they've worked on the car, and you can see right now he's in 4th place and really making a move on McLaughlin for 3rd place.
We had talked earlier how Elton Sawyer has gone back to the same setup that he used when he finished second here. couple of years ago, running for the same racing team. He said, forget the experimentation. We're going with what works. And the Aiken-Sutton team obviously hitting on a good combination today. But this is going to be good. You got Fuller leading. He's got 1 career win in the Busch Series. Phil Parsons in second. He's got only 2 career wins in the NASCAR Busch Series.
Yeah, we got a lot of trouble coming, though. You can see Jeff Green.
Caution, turn number 1. 1 car in the wall, and the leader has the caution. So the leader takes the caution, and we are under yellow at lap number 171. Mark Crow had been having some problems in the corner, so too had Johnny Chapman, and that's what happens to Chapman right there as he ends up sitting on the apron of the racetrack.
You can see him moving around inside the car there.
Chapman was second in the Ray Bestis Rookie of the Year points, a distant second to Steve Park, but nevertheless this is not going to help as Chapman ends up in the wall. He was running in 24th position at the time of the accident. 171 laps complete in New Hampshire. The field is going to get the 1 to go signal as they come to the start-finish line, and Carl Simmons will give them the indication. If you're late in joining us, we talked about the spring that Jeff Green ran over. When Elliott Sadler had his problems at lap 141, here's what happened. You look and see Green come by.
Okay, you can see Green right there. He runs over the coil spring. You can see it hit back on the racetrack. Now look how close Park came to running over that thing. I tell you what, but it bent the front valence there, and what that does, you lose some of the down pressure on the front of the car. So right now it would make the car a little too tight.
Jason Keller has just returned from the garage area after being involved in that same accident. So he is down some 35 laps, but Keller is out there again to pick up the NASCAR Busch Series points, as many as he can. All right, let's see. We'll have 23 laps to go when they get the restart. There's your leader, Jeff Fuller, looking for his 2nd career win in the Busch Series. Phil Parsons right behind him, looking for his 3rd career victory. Then you've got Mike McLaughlin, who is next in line. And he knows this racetrack between the Busch North and the Modified Tour and the Busch Series as well as everybody. He's the only guy to run every single Busch Series race here since the track opened. Green flag. Lap car, Stevie Reeves gets between the front 2. He's in car number 96.
Here comes Steve Park. Oh, no, that's Elton Sawyer down underneath McLaughlin, getting into the corner there. You see McLaughlin really fighting back on the outside.
You've got lap cars, Christopher and Santerre, the 13 and the 45. Phil Parsons getting caught up in that traffic. Here goes McLaughlin. Jeff Fuller just loves seeing this in his rearview mirror.
Boy, McLaughlin's in a very tough spot on the outside there. You see Elton Sawyer trying to get up under him as he come off, fighting Parsons down underneath. Boy, this is great racing. You can tell it's showtime.
Down to the final 21 laps, 21 miles. Riding with McLaughlin, looking to his right to Elton Sawyer. Phil Parsons now in that mix as well. There's Phil in the 10.
I can't imagine what happened to Phil Parsons' car, but he has dropped back quite a bit, and he was really on the inside of the racetrack. I would have to speculate that he has a handling problem right at the moment.
20 laps to go for Jeff Fuller. He won a year ago at Bristol Speedway in problems. Everybody looking around. Christopher and Santerre. Caution. Oh, and here go 2 more. Curtis Markham and Jeff Green get together. It happens in a hurry. Caution. 8th time today, lap 181. There's Jeff Green after the pit stop and all the work that Wes Ward and the boys did on the car.
Eli, that's always the argument about coming in with a few laps to go to make a chassis adjustment. I would have stayed in 6th, I believe. You can see what happens when you get back in the middle part of the pack. Jeff Green just got caught up in that deal.
And you know, you hate to see that for Santerre and Christopher, because both fellas have had superb days today. Santerre was up to the top 5 at one point. Christopher was 8th when he lost the fuel pressure and slowed, losing a couple of laps. And even for old Curtis Markham right there, we're riding with him, filling in for Dick Trickle. Curtis has had a good day.
I saw Curtis get very, very high, like the car come off the ground. He was very lucky to not have no more damage than he does on that car.
Of course, Curtis Markham is no newcomer to this area or to the Busch Series. Remember, he used to drive for Quint Bovair in the NASCAR Busch North Series in that number 7 Skoal car. Then he drove for the Hensleys and the Lysol team out of the NASCAR Busch Series. So Curtis is no newcomer by any stretch, but it's still a great opportunity for him to get into the Shoemaker car and show what he can do here today. And he's coming down, as you see, down pit road. Jeff Green is right behind him with a good bit of damage to the right rear of Green's machine. These stops are at lap number 182. Matt Yoakum looking on.
Well, Curtis comes to a stop. They're pulling away the right front fender. Will be 4 tires and fuel for Curtis Markham. Just some cosmetic damage on the left side. The crew member pulls away the front balance a little bit. It was pushed in. They're going to work on the left side. Not as much damage as you might have thought to this car. Just a little bit of cosmetic damage, Glenn.
In Jeff Green's pits, they brought him in there just basically pulling the fenders off the tires, checking the alignment on it. Wes Ward motioning for him to go on. I saw the 64 car go completely up on top of the 8 car. I can't believe it didn't do any more damage than what it did, but Jeff Green's down in the way. They didn't have to make any changes. Also, Jason Jarrett got caught up in that. He's in, just stalled the car. He's got some damage to the right front, the White Rain Ford, but he's down in the way. So far, everybody that was caught up in it back out in the fray.
We'll take another look at all that went on there in the corner. Again, it began with the 45 and the 13.
Well, you can see Christopher there. He gets tagged just a little bit by Santerre. You see the 13 get really sideways. Look at Magic Shoes McLaughlin go right underneath. Now, you would think this would be all of the wreck right here. But as they come through there, some cars start to check up.
Oh, that's where they touched. It was 3 wide and actually kind of like 5 wide with the accident cars. We'll watch it from another angle here.
They had just touched there, and around comes Christopher. You can see Santerre, nowhere to go, gets into him again.
Now, when they come off the wall, there you see right there. You also had Mike Olson, the 61. He was inside of Green. And now let's ride with Curtis Markham in car. This is how it all looked to him. Pleasant time, but everybody's pulling away and the green is in the air. Here we go, lap 185, 15 miles from the finish.
Steve Park got a great run down in the corner. Trouble again.
Spinning at the corner, Glenn Allen. Everybody else goes around. We've got a mess in turn 2. Glenn Allen, who was running in 14th, spins on the start.
Stevie Reeves there. He had a problem earlier. You can see the right rear torn up. That was done in a wreck back about halfway.
Remember Glenn Allen a year ago in this race. There he is in the 99 Luxair machine. A year ago, Glenn Allen was running 4th on the lead lap. Handful of laps to go. Got taken out by a lapped car and ended up with a terrible run. Here he's running 14th. As you see Jeff Crow pulling away. Here he was running 14th. We'll have to take another look and see exactly why he went around as Stevie Reeves undoes from the Big A Auto Parts entry. But Glenn Allen late in these races last year and this year has had just abysmal luck.
See him back there talking with Stevie Reeves. He knows that Stevie had absolutely nothing to do with it. He got swept into that accident.
So as Stevie Reeves climbs out of the car, let's take a look again, these two most recent incidents from the bumper cam of Mike McLaughlin's car.
See Elton Sawyer, wow.
Pardon me, coming through. That was from the previous incident. Now this is from the restart of moments ago, buddy.
Wow,
no, he clipped
there. Fuller got into the left rear there and just turned him right around.
Oh, and there comes Brad Layton. I never did see that before. Didn't see that hit moments ago. Mark Green in the 37. Another angle here.
That's after they had touched there. You can see the 99 going around. Jeff Fuller was very, very lucky to be able to continue on by there.
Brad Layton had a super run going, gets caught up. There you see also the 77 Jeff McClure. He's involved in that incident. And now from Stevie Reeves in car. He looks so cool and calm and collected. And then all of a sudden, day is done. My goodness.
Wow, look at the oil dry now. You talk about treacherous when they go back under green. No matter how many times you go back by there and blow that stuff away, it's still slick where that oil dry is.
And we're going to have roughly 10 or 9 laps, something like that, by the time they put down the speedy dry and then clean it up and all. Jeff Crow making it back to the pit lane in his CFI Chevrolet.
Tremendous amount of damage on the left front corner of Crow's car there. He would be well advised not to try to get back out there with just a few laps to go.
If you're a fan of Jason Keller, he's on the track 35 laps down. Shane Hall, who we told you had pulled off the track before onto the infield road course, he is 18 laps down but back on the speedway. And there's Jeff Fuller, the Sunoco Chevrolet. Let's go back again, buddy, and see if we can watch what happened here. Who hit whom on this restart? Again, Fuller is the leader, the 47.
You see him right on the inside of Allen there as they start down in the corner. You see Fuller right on the yellow line. He just comes up just a little bit, barely touched Allen, and around they go. Now the real problem is when he backs back up the racetrack. Wow, Brad Layton really hit hard.
Saw Dale Shaw go around there and a lot of others getting caught up. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Close racing. Looking ahead to what's coming your way over the next week or so. Friday night on TNN Motor Madness, the wild and wacky Swamp Buggies will be on from Naples, Florida. That's TNN Motor Madness. Just find out who sinks and who swims. I guess you might want to say it. The Swamp Buggy Classic 2, Friday night at 8 Eastern on TNN Motor Madness. And of course, next Saturday is going to be a big day here on TNN Motorsports. Not only will we be televising the Winston at 7 p.m. 1 week from tonight, but earlier that day, you'll be seeing some drag racing. So the Winston next Saturday, live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Can that man repeat in Victory Lane? We'll find out. That's next Saturday evening at 7. And earlier in the day next Saturday, the DuPont Pro Stock Challenge, NHRA's best Pro Stock qualifiers, going for $50,000. And that'll be at 5 o'clock Eastern on TNN Motorsports coming up next Saturday. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, but Rick Benjamin will be at work. I guess the family will be able to watch him on TV on Mother's Day. Race day, all the highlights of today's action from Talladega, from here in New Hampshire. The NHRA stars are in Richmond, Virginia, making up a rain out there. You've got action at the Brickyard. Rick Benjamin will have it all for you. Race day, 12 noon and 10 p.m. tomorrow here on TNN Motorsports. Down on the pit lane now, there's Clyde McLeod. He is the gentleman in the green Stanley shirt. The rest of the brain trust of the CC Welliver Racing team discussing things with a NASCAR official of what I honestly don't know. Glenn Jarrett, however, is trying to find out. He will let us know. Glenn, what were you able to find out?
Well, what the argument is about, Eli, is that Steve Park raced Todd Bodine real hard back to the caution flag there, and Todd didn't much like it because of all that was going on the racetrack. But NASCAR is saying that Steve beat him back, so they moved him around. That moves Todd back one position. Ain't nobody down here happy about it.
So Park would be shown in 5th, and Todd Bodine will go back to 6th. As we're now at lap 189, 11 to go. You see, there's so much speedy dry out there in the corner. They have brought out a machine that is called a Tennant machine. That's that little crawling buggy kind of deal you see near the upper groove. That is, as you can expect in this variation, a track cleanup machine. It is also used by the Tennant Company as a competitor to the Zamboni on the ice hockey arenas of America and Canada. Although Zamboni is the primary resurfacing machine, the Tennant Company makes one that's a competitor, and they're using it here to remove so much of that speedy dry.
Eli, that's amazing, though. Most racetracks, they don't have this kind of cleanup facility. You watch where he goes. I mean, it really cuts a nice path through there and cleans it all up.
Why don't we go back again to the incident of moments ago? Kevin LePage carrying an in-car camera for us. Let's watch this. He has a good view.
Look at that lucky charm. You think there's any G-force in a race car? Look at that thing, how straight out off the mirror is running.
And you saw just the nudge. Fuller and Allen. And around went Glenn Allen, collecting a host of others behind him. 10 laps to go. We continue to work caution. The 9th of the day. And folks, remember, the NASCAR Busch North Series still with a 100-lapper coming up this afternoon. Welcome back, everybody. We are live at New Hampshire International Speedway. The NASCAR Busch Series, rain delayed, now slowed by the 9th caution of the day. Already this afternoon, Mark Martin winning in Talladega. Now congratulations, Rich Bickle in the Chevy Die Hard truck for Darrell Waltrip Racing, winning at the Napa Card 200 at the Evergreen Speedway in Monroe, Washington. Second week in a row that Rich Bickle has won on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So our congratulations to him, and you'll be seeing that series here on TNN Motorsports in a couple of weeks as we all head to the I-70 Speedway in Odessa, Missouri for a visit to that nice little racetrack outside of Kansas City. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks from today, we will all be in Odessa for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Well, we're at lap 191. Cleanup continuing. Glenn Jarrett, we see Mark Green coming back from behind the wall, so he's going to be able to continue after the accident.
Yeah, they took a pretty good hit, Eli, but they got the thing, back to where he can drive it right now. He's several laps down. He was having a problem. He had dropped the cylinder anyway. You're talking about the upcoming truck race in Odessa. I have one question.
What's that?
Please tell me it's warmer there.
Probably is. This has been one of those days, folks, unseasonably cold. It's past the cool department. It's just a darn cold day here, which is very unusual. They were telling me that last week here in New Hampshire, folks were walking around in T-shirts and shorts, and then all of a sudden the cold snap came in with all the rain and what have you. But
look at this guy. You think it's cold?
There's a poster child for warmth right there from the Mike Olson team, and there's the crowd at the University of New Hampshire football game. No, they're here. Yeah, but they're staying, and that's the thing. You're not going to find. I mean, these are a hardy bunch of folks. They love this
I feel
racing.
for Glenn and those guys. It's 74 up here where we're at.
Yeah, just a touch on the tepid side. We are now 8 laps from conclusion. Cleanup is just about wound down in turn number 2. There you see the guys going through the area. Brad Layton driving for Terry Labonte today. Had a good run going, then had an unscheduled pit stop, and then got caught up in the accident. But Matt, nevertheless, while he was out there at full speed, he took advantage of this career break for him to drive for Terry.
He sure did, Eli. He gave her a great run. Brad, what happened, though, from your vantage point?
Well, I guess the 99 car got on the apron a little bit, got loose, and spun around and rolled back in front of my car. Just one of them things. We dodged a few bullets. We got down a lap in the pits with a air gun jammed on us, and you know, we had a good run started. I was being real conservative. I was going to wait like halfway through the show and really try to use it up there, but we really never got that far.
You got a Busch North race coming up next. What can you transfer, if anything, from the race you just ran to the North race coming up?
I'm not sure a lot. You know, the car is a little bit heavier and radial tire and all, and you know, it's just real fortunate. I mean, I just want to do a great job for the Bear people. They gave me the opportunity, and Terry and Bob and all, and they're great people to be involved with, and you know, I got to thank them. I'm sorry about the finish and all, but hopefully sometime I can help them out again.
Well, he won this race last year in the Busch North. It was his first ever career Busch North victory. Glenn?
Well, thanks, Matt. You know, Eli and Buddy and the rest of the guys have done a good job today talking about my nephew, Jason Jarrett, filling in for his dad while Dale was running at Talladega today. And there was a nice article in the Boston Globe yesterday about how Dale let Jason have the keys to the car for the weekend. Well, look right down here. This is off the right front fender of the White Rain 4. Now, I want to be there to hear the explanation when Jason tells his dad what happened when he gave him the keys to the car. Well, Dad, I don't really know. I was just kind of parked at the drive-in, and I got out to get something to drink, and I came back out, and the fender was gone.
This big lobster came along and just started chomping on the right front.
Jason doing a good job. He is running in 16th position. We're proud of him, regardless of the fact he tore the right front fender off.
He's a good kid. He's done well, and certainly one of the fine shoes at the Hickory Motor Speedway. We saw him there when the NASCAR Busch Series ran the Galaxy Foods 300 a few weeks ago. Well, right now, everybody just waiting as they continue to wrap up the track cleanup at the other end of the speedway. There was just so much speedy dry down there. You saw the Tennant machine. You can also see very clearly that they have slowed the pace car down a bit here. The field is now getting, well, no, they are not getting the one to go this time. Thought they would. But they have slowed the pace car down because these folks are deserving of seeing a green flag finish. They have sat through a cold day, a rainy day, as you ride along with Curtis Markham and now with Kevin LePage. Jeff Fuller, our race leader. He competed on the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour from its inception in 1985 until 94. And as I mentioned earlier, he has won here in a modified. It has been 16 races since his only career win on the Busch Series back in August of 96. He won at Bristol, Tennessee. And it has been 16 races since he has won. The man who is running in second, Mike McLaughlin, looking for his second win. There he is. It has been 51 races since his last win in June of 95 at the Monster Mile in Dover Downs, Delaware. Meanwhile, Glenn Allen has just made his presence known in the garage area after the accident, and as the field gets the one to go signal this time by, let's get a word from Glenn Allen. Matt?
Glenn, you look okay, but the car sure doesn't. What happened?
I really don't know what happened. We worked our way up. We were one lap down. Got on the outside. I cleared him. I thought about the flag stand and getting in the corner. I thought we would be okay. The Luxor Chevy. We struggled early because it was a brand new car. We got 30 minutes of hot laps. We finally got the car worked out where it ran pretty good for us. And I don't know what happened. I knew he got into the rough rear of us. Car got turned around. Maybe I was in a bad situation where I shouldn't have been racing him, but I thought I was going to be able to clear him and drive on. I knew he was racing the people behind him very hard. You know, they were slow in the pack, and I felt like we were better than them. And I guess he didn't want that to happen. Tough. Bill Papke, I'm sorry, man. We're working hard trying to get a good race car. I just keep tearing up faster we can build them. I don't think it's been our fault. It's just things that's happened.
Oh, it's called the sophomore jinx.
Glenn Allen Jr., he's a good young man, but again, we said last year, running fourth, last few laps, got taken out. It happens.
Well, on these racetracks where the groove is down on the bottom, you go in there, you think you're clear of the car in front of you. Maybe he moves up an inch or two and they make a little contact, but on a flat racetrack like this, you can't catch it back once it gets sideways usually.
All right, let's cinch up the seat belts. Here we go. 4-lap shootout. Jeff Fuller, Mike McLaughlin is second, Elton Sawyer third, Phil Parsons fourth, Steve Park is fifth, Todd Bodine is sixth, Randy LaJoy running in the 7th spot. And let's see how it shakes down now. Mark Kroll being posted in the 8th position. Tom Bowles 9th, Dennis Setzer 10th. Green flag, and Fuller tries to scoot away.
Watch the dust fly when they go down in the corner here. Even though that machine did a pretty good job, watch the dust right here. You can see it.
And if anybody spins here, that'll probably mean the end of the race. They're so close to the finish that they likely wouldn't be able to restart.
Steve Park moving on the outside of McLaughlin there, getting clear of him going into turn 3.
There comes the outside move for Park. He and Fuller get together.
Whoa, Park slowing on the front straightaway. I think he lost momentum coming out of the corner when they made contact.
3 laps to go. Riding with Phil Parsons.
You could hear Phil check up on the throttle as they started off turn 2 there. The car jumped out as it got in that oil dry, turning off turn 2.
Elton Sawyer's ahead of them in 4th.
Look at this move on the outside of Fuller here by McLaughlin.
McLaughlin for the lead. Fuller gets loose. Park to the inside. Mike McLaughlin is the leader with 2 laps to go. Magic Shoes.
Here comes Elton Sawyer to try to take over 3rd spot.
Phil Parsons behind them. Mike McLaughlin and Steve Park. This one's not over.
Wow, you see Park trying the outside there. Nobody's been able to make that outside groove work until just lately. But look at Park making a move down the front straightaway.
White flag.
Whoa, contact going into turn 1.
Park going for the win if he can get inside of McLaughlin. On the backstretch.
This is for it all here.
Looking for their 2nd career wins, respectively, on the NASCAR Busch Series. From Waterloo, New York, Mike McLaughlin against Long Islander Steve Park. McLaughlin wins by a half car length. What a finish.
Great racing.
Mike McLaughlin, 51 races since his first career victory back at Dover, Delaware in June of '95, and Magic Shoes continues his mastery here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. Remember, he won 2 races in one day here in '92, won another in '93. He won the Busch North and the Modified Tour races on the same September afternoon in 1990. Mike McLaughlin heading to victory lane, and we will be there to greet him. Stick around. More racing yet to come. A smile, a big, broad smile for Mike McLaughlin and the Royal Oak Chevrolet Racing Team. He's in victory lane again. Glenn Jarrett, they might as well name victory lane after that guy here.
I think so, Eli. Whenever he's in the need for or needs a fix for a win, he needs to come back to New Hampshire International Speedway. Man, you own this place. You only led twice for 21 laps, but you led at the right time.
I'll tell you what. It was a good day. I tell you, this Royal Oak Chevrolet was awesome. These guys did a good job in the pits. We were a little bit off, kept working on it. At the end, the track got slick, and I knew the outside felt like it had more grip. And somebody beat me to it, but then I got back out there and hey, it was our day. But Darren Keeter, you should be here, man. This one's for you, Royal Oak. Tell you, they've been great, a great sponsor, and this is a long-awaited win. It's great to be here.
Well, it has been 51 races since you won last, but New Hampshire International Speedway, Mike, has been awfully good to you.
Yes, it has. I can't complain about it at all, man. It's just a great feeling to be back here, and great for all these guys right here. These guys are the ones that make it happen, man. I'm telling you. They don't get enough credit.
Congratulations to Mike McLaughlin, Clyde McLeod, Frank Cece, all these guys, the Wellovers back there. Congratulations, guys. There's a huge crowd back there getting ready to have a big party. Let's go to Matt.
Well, I'll tell you what, the New Englanders having a great day. Steve Park, boy, the big momentum. 3 straight races in the Busch Tour, a second, and a first. A great run to the finish.
Yeah, I have to congratulate my crew. We struggled a little bit in the first part of the race, and this AC Delco team just, knuckled right down, gave us a good pit stop, got us back out there, and boy, that was a wild finish, wasn't it? We were battling out up there, and my car was working good on the outside. I knew there was only 3 laps left, so I pulled a Ron Hornaday move on the outside. He taught me that in the truck series, and got her up on the outside, and really wanted to win this race for these guys, but we just fell short today.
Talk about your pass on the 47 car.
Well, the pass on the 47 car was a great one up on the outside for the lead, and he just closed the door on me and pinched me up in a wall. I can understand trying to protect your lead and everything else, so I just backed out of it and gathered myself up and got an underneath shot on the next move. Mike saw me coming though, so I laid my cards on the table, and when I didn't get into the lead, Mike blocked that position and went on the outside of Jeff, and I went on the inside. We split them 3 wide, and it was pretty exciting.
Hey, and an exciting end to a great day for Steve Park. Eli?
It was a super run for Steve Park, coming home second, ahead of Jeff Fuller third, Elton Sawyer fourth, and Phil Parsons fifth. The full rundown, and then the Busch North race yet to come. TNN Motorsports live coverage of the United States Cellular 200 has been brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Purolator. To protect your engine, remember, pure oil now, pure oil later. Purolator. And by Stanley. Since 1843, Stanley has been helping people do things right. Back in New Hampshire, let's hear from Jeff Fuller, who came home in third spot. Matt?
Jeff, your season's best finish. Boy, a wild one. Looks like you almost picked up that win this season.
Yeah, it was a good race for the fans. I really didn't want to see that last caution come out. We were real good under green. We had come in that last time, put right side tires on it, and loosened it up. And, with the speedy dry they put on the track, and with it as loose as we had it, it was great for a long green flag, but just horrible the first couple laps when you got on it. And, whenever they come over and they said 4 to go, it's like, man, I knew I was in trouble. And, what are you going to do? That's racing, but still third's our best finish this year. So, we'll go to Pennsylvania next week and get them there.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be somewhere right about now?
Yeah, we're supposed to be up in the booth with, who's that senile old guy there? Buddy Baker?
Buddy somebody, yeah.
Buddy somebody. He owns a seafood restaurant down in North Carolina. He thinks he knows what seafood is. We got real lobsters and steamers out there. You got to tell him what real seafood is.
He's on his way, guys.
I bet he is. Let's take a look at the one equal
and
time.
That was said from a shrimp.
Oh, my. Thank you very much. Good answer. There you see the unofficial results. After starting 12th, Mike McLaughlin came home in the top spot. Good run for Crow and Bowles and Shaw. 3 Busch North Series racers right there. Curtis Markham brought Dick Trickle's car home in the 12th spot. Randy Porter, Andy Santerre, good run right there. And now a number of these teams all involved in accidents, ending up behind the wall and out fairly early in today's running of the United States Cellular 200. Want to remind you that we are going to be breaking away here for just a few moments. We'll be turning things back to our studios in Nashville, and then we'll be coming back your way in about 8 or 10 minutes or so with the start of the NASCAR Busch North Series race. The United States Cellular 100 will be coming up live here on TNN, and we'll rejoin you in about 8 or 10 minutes, so do stick around if you can. For now, we want to thank Buddy Baker, Glenn Jarrett, and Matt Yoakum, and thank you so much for joining us on the first part of our doubleheader. Mike McLaughlin in victory lane, second time in his NASCAR Busch Series career. For all of us at TNN Motorsports, kick back about 8 or 10 minutes. We'll be right back after we turn things back to our TNN studios. More racing shortly.